What's going on? Happy Friday. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Titans have been awarded former Colts cornerback Darrell Baker off waivers. Baker becomes the third player the Titans have claimed off waivers in the last 2 days over the past two seasons. Baker has played in 17 games, including 6 starts for the Colts. Titans also added a new face to the practice squad. Defensive tackle James Lynch, 4th-round pick of the Vikings out of Baylor in 2020 to the practice squad. He's played in 3 years in the NFL, 37 games, 3 starts, totaled 53 tackles, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for a loss. And college football. We had games played last night. It was beautiful. Number 24, NC State endured a brutal first half to come out on top of Western Carolina 38-21. UNC takes down Minnesota in a slugfest 19-17, and Colorado takes the Week 1 victory despite some questionable play calling 31-26. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning on 104.5 The Zone starts right now. And ladies and gentlemen, let me be the first to congratulate you and welcome you back to football season. This is Ramon, Kayla, and Will RKW. Ramon Foster, Robert Walsh, I'm Will Bowling. Kayla Anderson has the morning off today. 615-737-1045. We have got football games to talk about last night. We are Jason Swain days away from football time in Tennessee. Well, we've got a former stud at the college levels who is now a stud Tennessee Titan, Jeffery Simmons, coming up at 8:20 this morning. Ramon Foster, how the heck are you? Good morning.
Man, we're so back. I'm talking about so back in so many. Personally, for myself, okay, I finally caught back up on sleep, okay? I feel refreshed this morning, and maybe it's because we had football last night. Is all I'm telling you.
If you caught back up on sleep, then you were not watching the fourth quarter of Colorado North Dakota State last night.
I attempted to.
Okay.
And at some point, I was just like, all right, you make that hard decision.
You did.
I'm going to catch up in the morning. It was probably like 6 minutes left, and I was just like, 6 minutes in football. It's probably 35 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, you got to count the wind down time, getting to the bed and everything. And I just said I chalked it up. So it is what it is. I see one of my Thursday threes hit. One of them did not. But here we go, okay? 1-1 to start the season. At least I know my results, okay? What about you guys?
50% in the betting world. Very solid.
Yeah, Ramon is set up to do what he did last year, go 1-2, and
that's right. Yeah, the problem is we do a Thursday 3 and not a Thursday 4, so you will not go 500 this week. There is a 100% chance that you either have a winning or losing record.
Man, even if I went over, it would not matter to me because football is like all the way back.
It is. I don't know why my appreciation is so much higher this year. Maybe because the Vols are somewhat no, screw that. All right, let me restart over. I don't know why my optimism is so high. It probably starts with the Vols and my outlook on them.
It does.
Let me stop beating around the bush, all right? We're here. We're so back. We're trash-talking other people's teams. I was praying. T. Grizzly last night was in my head, okay? Because I was praying on downfalls, okay? Is what I'm telling you. I was praying on NC State's downfall. They had a player ejected. I celebrated that moment,
as
okay? Is it bad that I celebrate a player being ejected to a team we're about to play?
It's not like he forgot his jersey because the team manager left it at home that he couldn't play. It was under his control. It was targeted.
A silly hit, too.
That's right.
Bro, what are you thinking? And if I'm not mistaken, you get kicked out of the team, you at least got to miss like the first half of the next game.
That's
also.
Really hate that for him. Really hate that for that young man.
I hate it for the team. The young man I do hate it for, but for his team, consequences.
When do I get old enough to be allowed to call people young men? I don't feel like I'm old enough yet to call college students young men.
About 31.
I think I could probably call high schoolers young men at this point, but I don't think I am far enough away from being a high schooler / college student to get away with that.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong here, Bert. If you listen, man, about 35 is when you start to feel it. Like, not feel it. Like, I ain't feel anything at 35, but like 35 is the age point you're just like, yeah, we're far removed from high school. College, we've been out of that thing for over 10 years or so, too. I think when you're about 10 years removed from college, man, is when you start saying young man and young men and, hey, what's up, kid? You know what I'm saying? Or
Fair enough.
You get some kids, too. That's where mine is coming from.
Don't look at me on that one. There was, I think there's a way we need to celebrate this morning.
Talk to me.
Celebrate. There is a word that we're going to be saying a lot today. And there is a word that I'm just going to have this sound in my head for the next foreseeable future. I mean, there is a college football game on every weekend until the end of January, boys and girls. This is essentially what we're going to do for the next 4 hours this morning. Football. That we have got for you this morning. Yeah. That is the energy we've got for you.
We're getting football emojis in the F&M Bank chat. Okay, that's how I know we're back. All right, I said I wasn't wearing this anymore until the fall. I couldn't help myself.
It's the fall.
It's technically.
Car's lost its roof.
The car has lost its roof.
You've got the Tennessee hockey jersey on. If you're not watching on 104.5 The Zone TV, you can join the discussion in the F&M Bank chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Brent Hubbs at his normal time at 7:20 this morning. Jeffery Simmons at 8:20. Andy Staples of On 3 at 9:20. That is a hat trick of 5-star guests.
It really is.
Here on the show today.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, okay, Kayla's out. Okay, we got to, do this, do that. It's like, oh, wait a minute. We got a lineup today, dog.
We sure do.
I'm talking about, I can't wait to talk to Hubbs, too.
We love you, the listener, so much. We decided to celebrate with you and to reward you on making it to football season with us with a 5-star guest list.
5-star
on the eve of Tennessee football.
Also, I started up the show. I told Bert I got a hot take. I told you I had a hot take too this morning.
You did.
I don't even know if it's hot.
It's 6:08. Is this the proper time to reveal this hot take? I say send it.
It is. Screw it. I'm gonna send it. I have to go back on my word a little bit. Yesterday when we said there is no face to college football. I was just like, it's Benjamin. It's Benjamin Franklin is what I said yesterday.
I liked that answer.
Well, after last night and watching some games, it does have a face.
Who's that?
Travis Hunter.
Okay.
His biggest knock is going to be he's in Boulder. If he was at Ohio State, if he was in the SEC, we'd be singing his, and I think a lot of people are going to be singing his praises, but what that young man did last night is unheard of in college. When was the last time we see somebody be that productive offensively and defensively? As far as
since Travis Hunter last year, the first month of the season.
Yeah. As it stands right now, I think this guy is a bona fide first-round pick, and team's going to have to decide if you want him to play corner or wide receiver, because I would say I don't know if you can do this in the NFL, but he's proven that he can effectively do all of it in college football.
He's doing both right now, and he's doing both at a very high level. I think he is the face of college football in September.
And you know what? I'll live with that. And I'll even say this, too. As far as where he's at in Colorado, right? Because Colorado's in the Big 12, but it's like stuck too. And we got to see what their schedule's going to look like as far as the Big 12 goes. But as far as overall player, let me say player, Will, not necessarily starter. I don't know if there's a better pure player we've seen in college football than what Travis Hunter is capable of if he does actually specialize in one thing. Carson Beck gets a lot of praise because of his support group, right? Sure. And a lot of other guys. Texas got a big old support system. Like, watching that dude catch that ball in the end zone yesterday where he torqued his body to come. I mean,
he's got strong hands.
I don't know who else is capable of that. Let me just go that route first before saying he's the entire face. I don't know who else.
There's a freshman at Ohio State named Jeremiah Smith who very well may be capable of the same things this year as his true freshman season begins tomorrow.
Travis Hunter lit it up, man. And I just had to come in and say, if he continues on, that strong Heisman candidate for a non-quarterback.
Yeah. Shedeur Sanders wasn't bad either last night. 445 yards and 4 touchdowns. 3 of them were against Travis Hunter. Colorado 31, North Dakota State 26. So that was your loss betting-wise of the night. However, they really bounced back well. I thought they were done for after watching that first half. I thought North Dakota State had all the mojo and had all of the game plan down pat the right way to beat Colorado. They were just all substance and no flash, whereas Colorado, I don't have to tell you how much they're all flash and no substance. But especially after the interception off of the back of a guy's foot in the end zone was just phenomenal. You almost felt like it was North Dakota State's night when that started. And then really simultaneously, Colorado and NC State took over against their respective opponents. Problem is that for Colorado, they were playing a much better FCS opponent than the Catamounts of Western Carolina, who you had never even heard of.
No,
before last night. Man, who gave NC State and Gracie McCall a game leading into the fourth quarter.
Gave them fits, man. Hey, if them boys at Western Carolina had a better speed program in the summer, that pick 6 would have been for a touchdown. Their quarterback, his hamstrings got tight and he got hawked down. I was just like, they had so much open field, like explosion plays that they deserved to win. But of course, when it's good, when you got a program that's as big as NC State, there's no escaping it when you just are really just throwing your best punches quarter in and quarter out, and sometimes you just get suffocated. Western Carolina got suffocated, but all I can tell you is this. I want to see the Vols run down on NC State. Do you hear me? I want to see them run. They better not decide to get their act together next week. Will. Okay. I hate teams like this. Oh, we'll be sorry against Western Carolina, but against the Vols, we'll give our all. No, that's our saying.
Well, you did get one win last night because the over in Wake Forest and North Carolina A&T hit. So, yeah, proud of you. Ramon Foster, don't look now. He is leading the Thursday 3 leaderboards.
Hide the money, y'all.
After one day of the football season. I do have an important follow-up question for you before we preview the biggest games of the weekend. Is Smokey awake this morning?
He is so awake. Do you hear me? He is so awake.
All right, Bert, hit it.
I mean...
Football Eve in the Volunteer State coming up.
Yeah!
We'll preview the weekend, look ahead to the biggest games the college football weekend, as well as a preview of what makes tomorrow a successful week 1 for the Tennessee Volunteers. RKW talking football all morning. We'll continue coming up.
Rocket Top. Woo!
Go Vols.
We're so back, y'all, okay? But I'm here to tell you this, man. People here know Genesis Diamond as the true value leader. They've proven it. And these days, value is so important, all right? The thing to remember is this. Genesis is a true direct importer with connections that go back for 50-plus years. No middleman markups, no consignment fees, no third-party people to pay. And unlike other stores, Genesis works on low profit margins. Their business is built on volume at a great price, so they don't have to make a killing on every sale. It's the opposite of what you have come to expect at other jewelry stores. But one thing people here really love about Genesis, this is where you can get her a better ring, a designer ring, a handcrafted ring that reflects how you see her. While other stores sell knockoff rings or crappy overseas rings, at Genesis, you can get her a stunning designer ring made here in America by top designers. These are rings made to last. Bottom line, she'll be proud to show off a Genesis ring because it won't be a mass-produced ring. It'll be something unique, something amazing. That's what Genesis Genesis specializes in, combining the best diamond value with the best quality ring to give you the total package with a free lifetime warranty as well. Genesis Diamonds, where luxury and value come together every day. Check them out. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. And don't forget about the incredible collection of amazing luxury pre-owned Rolex watches.
Kicking off the show and having a good time on Ramon, Kayla, and Will Friday, and we are acting like it. Live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, as well as the 104.5 The Zone app, and immediately on your favorite podcast platform the second the show wraps up at 10 o'clock. Ramon Foster, we have got football games to preview this weekend. I've got a couple of them that I think tell us some very important things about the Southeastern Conference.
Talk to me.
In week one. Which game would you like to start with between LSU, USC, Florida, Miami, and Georgia, Clemson?
Let's go LSU, USC.
Good answer.
Blending of a lot of different conferences and change.
LSU, USC on Sunday afternoon from Las Vegas. First of all, do you like neutral site games? Are you pro or anti-neutral site
If I don't have to play in them, then I'm okay with them. If I'm playing in them, I'll put me on my campus, man.
Fair enough.
Yeah, is that about as real as it gets right there?
I think it's fair.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah.
Bill Connolly of ESPN.com has his model saying that this game could end at 41-31, a 72-point total. Miller Moss beginning his era as the USC quarterback. He's got a brand new list of weapons. Woody Marks, the transfer from Mississippi State, comes in, but D'Anton Lynn, the defensive coordinator, is there from crosstown rival UCLA. And Alex Grinch, the former defensive coordinator, this team could not stop a nosebleed the past couple of seasons, and they weren't tackling well at all. And then he got let go, and in the bowl game, it's like, oh my gosh, USC could tackle again once they got into the postseason. Ramon, though, what do you think about this LSU team? Because this is as bad as their roster has been in a decade, which is crazy. So according to the 247 Sports Talent Composite, the LSU roster, essentially based on the last 4 years of recruiting rankings, has hit a new 10-year low in terms of the player that they have on their team.
How low, Will?
They are number 9 in the updated team talent rankings, the lowest they have been in a decade.
That's the thing we were speaking about the other day with LSU. LSU always gets the benefit of the doubt because they still have a good bit of talent there. Their issue is going to be how they protect their quarterback, and also their coaches' management of all things that they are doing too. That's the biggest issue that LSU has going for them. And as far as USC to me goes, is this: can they play a brand of ball that is as physical as LSU is going to bring to them? That's going to be their issue for me. Lincoln Riley is a guy that likes to air the ball out. The run game happens through the passing game is the way I've always seen his style of offense. And can they actually compete up front with what LSU is going to bring towards them? That's their biggest issue for me this weekend. I honestly see this as a LSU win, just being completely honest with you. I know we don't know a whole lot about their quarterbacking situation. They lost, 2 first-rounders last year, Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels. That's hard.
And Brian Thomas Jr.
But here's the thing. We're talking about a top 10 talented team as far as prospects go. LSU is going to be fine. I don't know if we can say the same thing about Lincoln Riley because, again, playing in a bowl game is one thing. If their new defensive coordinator, D'Anton Lynn, was brought in from UCLA. By the way, he dodged that bullet, did he not?
Yeah.
With their coaching in their press conference. That's one thing they should have been very
Well, they were on
defensive
staff together. I think I don't know.
He still dodged it. He wasn't there with him.
Yeah.
But their biggest issue is, can they handle the athlete that LSU is going to bring to the table? And that's where it becomes, to me, very problematic on what USC is going to be asked to do in this game. Again, Caleb Williams not there. Lincoln Riley's got to overprove himself to show that he has players still on that team. But it's always going to be a defensive game that USC, to me, have to prove way more than the offense will.
Yeah, LSU does return a lot of their offensive line. So 4 starters are back from an offensive line that, according to Pick 6 previews last year, had the number 1 basically run blocking metrics in college football. So for me, I do think that a young offensive line, bringing back Miles Frazier, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger, and Will Campbell, all 4 of those guys are back for a 3rd season of playing together. New center DJ Chester comes in. I just think LSU is good enough at the point of attack to just bludgeon USC enough on offense. I'm not worried about LSU scoring points in this game, regardless of who the USC defensive coordinator is. But I do worry about LSU being able to stop USC on defense. And that is where Missouri defensive coordinator Blake Baker coming in and taking over, Ramon. I'm very curious if he is good enough and if he can hit the ground running quickly enough to get the LSU defense into just some sort of mediocrity that would allow their offense to give them a shot at making the college football playoff.
And see, my biggest issue is LSU's always known. Who's their big prospect this year? He just got the number 7 number.
Harold Perkins.
On
defense.
Is there anybody that can stop him on USC's staff?
Well, it depends on where they put him on the defense.
Yeah, that's true, too.
He's been an edge rusher and an inside linebacker and was not as productive last season.
Yeah, and it was for those reasons. If he's an off-ball linebacker, he's going to play at the line of scrimmage. But, again, for me, the method in which Lincoln Riley is going to play football is to drop back deep, roll around, and try to get down the field. And that's why I see LSU athletes and the way they recruit I think do a better job than we expect against USC than SC would do against LSU's defense. But, of course, this is me projecting my SEC bias in this conversation right here. I can admit that, right?
This time of year, it ends up usually working out pretty well for you.
I mean, it depends. Unless I say the Vols are going 10-2 in 2020. I still have that moment there, Will.
It's all right.
Yeah, it is all right. But I'm glad to see the blending of conferences, though. USC and USC. How much does this go, Will, win or loss, into the national conversation? I mean, the national championship conversation, this loss for either team.
See, I think for USC, they need one of these early games because you look at USC's schedule. I mean, they are staring down a difficult early portion of this, season. Like there is a very real scenario where, looking at the schedule, you start with LSU. You get Utah State week 2. You get a bye week. And then you go through a stretch of at Michigan, Wisconsin, and at Minnesota. Not a super easy portion of that early season schedule for a new quarterback and for what Miller Moss is going to be. But to me, I feel like USC needs this game more than LSU does early in the season.
And I got to look up LSU's schedule, though, too.
They get Alabama at home this year.
Yeah.
LSU does.
And because to me, I feel like it's more on LSU's plate than it ever was on SC. Because SC, to my point, I feel like has an easier walk to a college football playoff position. But when you look at it, LSU's at a spot to where they're in the SEC. I don't know how it's going to look for SC down the road, but I don't see this loss to them being as big as it would be for LSU.
See, I just think for USC, though, it could unravel pretty quickly to where LSU. The pressure LSU, though, Nicholls State week 2, they go to South Carolina. Yeah. They get UCLA at home. They get South Alabama. LSU comes to Tiger Valley every week. Yes, Will. Ole Miss comes to Death Valley. And then you go to Arkansas, to A&M, Bama at home, at Florida, Vandy, Oklahoma.
That's ugly.
I mean, neither schedule is easy. I just think that in terms of the championship picture, we're going to be complaining a lot more about USC than we are LSU.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Coming out of this game.
Yeah.
Let's go to Eric in Nashville, 615-737-1045. Eric, good morning.
Rocky top of the morning, friends. How we doing?
We're great.
Good morning.
It's Friday. We're going to act like it, and I'm choosing violence first thing in the morning.
Come on with it.
Hey, real quick, Ramon, I want to ask you, did you see any of the North Carolina-Minnesota game last night?
Just a little bit of it. I saw North Carolina was down a good bit, but Minnesota also has some big old boys up front, too.
Well, that's what big up. Did you see the starting right guard for North Carolina?
I did not pay attention to him.
He was 5'7".
Yeah,
I cannot remember seeing at a big time, power forward out of school, a starting offensive lineman beat. I haven't seen an offensive lineman that short since the guy who was a center for my high school football team. But I thought that was pretty cool.
It is. I'm about to look this kid up.
Yeah, starting right guard, I believe. But so I'm excited about Tennessee. Go ahead and drink the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on Tennessee mainly because I think this is the best roster, top to bottom, Tennessee's had probably in 15 years, probably since the last time we went to Atlanta in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's as many NFL, guys on this team as there was on that one, but roster-wise, I think this is the best roster in that time frame. So that's what gives me hope. And watching NC State's offensive line have some issues against Western Carolina and knowing what Tennessee's defensive line is, we might be eating some McCall quite often next Saturday. And also, since we're going to choose some violence, I wonder if anybody from Vanderbilt Athletics is listening, because I got a great marketing tool for you to make some money.
What's that?
Let everybody into whatever they're calling it. It'll still always be Dudley Field or whatever it was, because that's what it has been for me all my life. But let everybody into that stadium for free. And then, because Vanderbilt's so bad and they suck so bad, people will be dying to get out. Charge them to get out, and you'll make some money.
Oh, my gosh.
Y'all have a good one, and let's go Vols, baby.
Eric in Nashville.
The other Eric in Nashville.
All right. Starting off hot in the new season.
Let them in free,
All
but
those
charge
Hockey
them to
fans
leave.
will... That's hilarious.
We didn't even start that one, Will. Nobody can call up here and say,
that's what
guys
the
are
Twitter people will say.
are anti-Vanderbilt. No, that wasn't even us. And this is freedom of speech, so you can't cut him off, right?
We can.
I mean,
I just didn't.
But he didn't say anything that made us cut him off.
That's correct.
This kid at right guard from North Carolina, he is like Aaron Donald of the O-line. He is small, like for his size and position.
Yeah, the kid's 5'11". Willie Lampkin is the guy in question. 5'11", 290.
I think the thing that helps him the most is he was a two-time state champion wrestler.
There you go.
In 2020, he went 47-0 in Florida. This kid was on a tear. And I think he was even thought to wrestle in college and then ended up going to Coastal Carolina to play football.
Hold up. Say that again?
Which part? That was
the last part.
I think he was going to wrestle in college, but then ended up going to Coastal to play football.
Oh, man. Well, this is insane here. Like, I'm trying to look at the shortest offensive lineman in NFL history. I'm not seeing anybody. Like, 5'11" doesn't register anywhere.
Yep. Florida and Miami, Ramon Foster, on Saturday afternoon is going to be fascinating because the seat for Billy Napier starts to warm up just a little bit.
Yeah.
If they lose this game. Billy Napier is 11-14 overall after the 2023 team went 5-7, missing a bowl game at Florida for the first time since 2017. And Ramon, Billy Napier was tabbed to be this elite recruiter that he was on Nick Saban's staffs, who are going to be able to bring in a new and elite level of talent in Gainesville. He's not done that.
No. 2
recruiting cycles. His class is ranked 13th and 13th. That is 7th best in the Southeastern Conference. And in the trenches last year, they allowed a sack on 10% of pass attempts. That was number 115 nationally. And they lost both their starting guards to the transfer portal. All of that being said, Ramon, I cannot bet against Florida at home in the Swamp in a rivalry game. And I'm not saying I'm picking Florida in this game. I'm just saying I could not touch it with a 50-foot pole, because that is going to be a stressed Swamp against Miami. They have to get this game.
But it's the same thing for Miami also. Miami has went out and bought, I'm talking about an amazing class as far as the transfer portal goes. And not just that, too. I won't call the recruiting class amazing, but they've gotten a lot of talent inside of that team also. So I see this being, if I was picking money line, if we just going to keep it basic, I'm taking Miami in this game.
They're favored on the money line side. They're 2.5-point favorite.
And here's the other thing about Napier for myself. Napier and the pressure that he's feeling this year, his emotions on the sideline is going to wreck his team more than the actual play will. He's a guy that goes over the top when it comes down to him trying to manage his team and win games. And this Florida Gators versus Miami game is one of those I can't see him being calm. I can't see him actually coaching his guys up. I see this game for them as a debacle more than anything. I think Miami runs away with this game.
Oh, really?
Yes, 100%. That 2.5 is simply because it's so many unknowns about this one. Look at the way they feel like they got slighted last year and how they finished. Like, to me, Miami absolutely crushes Florida this weekend. And Napier hot seat gets way hotter from week 1. It's just not enough for me. And I see you having a notes too. Cremani McLean is there too. He's also had his issues while he's been in Florida.
Well, there's health concerns. There's other issues that Billy Napier is kind of quieted, essentially saying he's fine. He's here.
Yeah,
he's
right.
practicing. I think for Miami, though, this is the year that a veteran offensive line is now experienced, and this is maybe a sleepy good pick to win the Joe Moore Award this year for the best offensive line in college football. All 5 starters from last season, Ramon, were all ACC on the offensive line for the Miami Hurricanes. 3 of them are back.
Yep.
So Matt Lee and Javion Cohen go pro. Jalen Rivers, Francis Maui-Goa, who was formerly a very high target on Tennessee's recruiting board. He was David Sanders before there was David Sanders.
My first heartbreaking recruiting.
And then he was Jordan Seaton before there was Jordan Seaton. And then Inez Cooper back as well on that Miami offensive line. They've got the Oregon State transfer, Damian Martinez at running back, Houston Sam Brown at wide receiver. You mentioned the transfer class they bought. Cam Ward, the quarterback transfer, comes in, though, and as good as he has been at times, he is pretty erratic as well. And some of the reports out of Miami suggest that it might take a couple of weeks. It might take a little bit of time for him to really get comfortable within this offense with these brand new weapons. So for me, it's more so just the unknown of the way Mario Cristobal manages games and how high stakes, pressure filled of a game this is for me to think that Florida has got a shot in this one.
Miami wins it all the way.
I think Miami wins by a field goal. I think the 2.5 line is about right.
I actually see it. I see it as more.
I know you said they're going to kill him.
Yeah, it's simply because I don't know what Florida's quarterback play is going to look like, too. And, of course, their defense. I mean, it's always going to show up. But when you have 5 very good offensive linemen the way Miami does, that's hard to kind of push back, especially week 1 for college players.
Before we get out of here, Ramon, I have some answers to your questions. I could not find who the shortest offensive lineman in NFL history was, but I did find the shortest offensive lineman to make a Pro Bowl. That is Kevin Glover at 6'1".
Wow.
Back in the 1980s. He's currently the Maryland's director of player development. But on Willie Lampkin, he is only the second shortest player, offensive lineman in ACC currently. The other one plays for Miami, and he is 5'10". But he does not play.
Okay.
Makes sense considering they've got a really good offensive line.
Willie Lampkin also voted all ACC preseason.
Are you serious?
Last year was a very good year for him, apparently.
More you know.
Interesting.
Are you drafting him to Baltimore?
No, I think that's more of a Steelers pick, you know. Actually, what about converting this guy to fullback? That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, y'all already got one, Rashard.
Coming up, we will wrap up our number 1. There was a hilarious only in college football moment among the games that began week 1 yesterday. Plus, we'll take a look at another one of the games coming up this weekend. Georgia and Clemson in Atlanta. A fascinating matchup we'll break down next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. To all my facility managers out there, how are your plumbing fixtures doing? Do you have any clogs in a sink or two? Maybe you've got an annoying leak, inconsistent hot water when you need it the most. Well, no matter your plumbing problem, the team at Lee Company is here to help. For over 80 years, their expert technicians have been here to make your life easier and keep your place of business running efficiently. Available 24/7, 365. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, with 80 years of experience. When you've been doing business since 1944, you learn how to do business the right way. They've got 950 vehicles in their fleet, upwards of that, with vans, trucks, etc., in 14 community locations here in Tennessee and as well in Kentucky and Alabama. 615-567-1000. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will wraps up our number one on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is our number. Guys, you know the way that football is back?
How's that?
Because there was already a 15-yard penalty that was declined to begin both halves yesterday in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Did you guys see this?
I did see it.
So Arkansas Communications tweets out yesterday, Razorback Football has declined the 15-yard penalty assessed to Arkansas Pine Bluff at the start of each half for not wearing contrasting uniforms. They were in black while the Razorbacks were in red. Good on Sam Pittman for declining both penalties.
Yeah, no, it was good. Fascinating game, too, man. I watched, I had it on Multiview last night. And I, as far as my Thursday 3, I was kicking myself. I said, why did I not think about Bobby Petrino? Like, he had that offense cooking. And I think it was 42 points before the first half was over with. Absolutely slaughterhouse is what that was last night.
They were pigs led to slaughter against the pigs, against the Razorbacks. So this is crazy. They scored a touchdown, Ramon, on 10 consecutive drives.
Yeah,
Arkansas did. They're the first team to do that in a season opening game in over 20 years. Literally, 10 drives, 10 touchdowns. It was at the point 70-0.
And here's the thing. You can say, well, it was against Arkansas Pine Bluff, but it was still impressive, like watching them do work.
10
man.
drives is crazy.
It is, man.
It's a reason why that's not happened in 20 years.
Yes. And they were showing the graphic last night, and it was like touchdown, all the way through. And I was just like, yeah, that's the Bobby Petrino I know. And trying to see if him and Sam Pittman can coexist, it's looking good. That quarterback that they had last night, too, the transfer – forget where is he from? Is it Boise State?
Boise State transfer quarterback Talon Green. It looks like an action figure.
Looks the part, too. Absolutely. They got a big old running back. This all the things that Bobby Petrino likes and love and have had at other places where he's been as successful. It's there. I was telling somebody last night, I think Arkansas may be the sleeper team in the SEC just based on the offense.
You're reacting too much to week 1 against Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Let me enjoy a good thing here, okay?
Week 1 is right a liar, Ramon Foster. You know this.
I'm telling you that Arkansas offense is going to go.
I will say this about them in a good way and NC State in a bad way, who is trailing against Western Carolina.
Yeah.
Last year, Missouri looked horrible against MTSU at the beginning of the season. Like, of all the Tennessee teams that Missouri beat last year, they beat Memphis, MTSU, Tennessee, and Vandy. MTSU gave them the closest game. So, respect to the Blue Raiders, first of all, for obviously being well coached and being prepared for that early in the season last year.
Right.
However, it's week 1 often tells us some lies. So, I think we can make observations without making conclusions after watching week 1.
My observation?
There you go.
That offense is going to be legit.
I mean, you can make all the conclusions you want. I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to be a little bit more measured.
That offense is going to be legit.
Clemson and Georgia Saturday. Go ahead, Bert.
Sorry, I was just going to say Arkansas Pine Bluff's logo is so badass.
Yeah, it's interesting.
If I was going to say I didn't like it, I would be lying. They're the Lions. It was a terrible joke.
No, I know. I was sipping coffee. Otherwise, I almost spit it out. It was good.
He didn't like it, Bert. He's lying to you. He's
I love when small schools take liberties with that stuff and are just like, you know what? Hell with it. We're going to make an awesome logo. I don't care.
Georgia and Clemson tomorrow, Ramon Foster. We talk a lot about the 247 Sports Talent Composite, which essentially tells you how talented every roster is in college football, according to recruiting rankings. Do you have a guess on where Clemson is on this list?
7.
They're still a top 5 roster in college football.
Are.
Clemson has the number 5 roster in college football, according to 247 Sports. However, they were the only non-service academy to not add a transfer in the transfer portal this year. Andy Staples, who we're going to have later in the show, described it, Ramon, earlier this week on a podcast as they're the only school that you don't need a recommendation letter from a senator to go to, who did not add a transfer. Is Georgia just going to run away with this, or does Clemson keep it close?
I don't know, because this offseason, Dabo has been a whole lot quiet. He has, as far as all things with his team. So to me, I'll say this. It's a measure of do's and the do-nots is the way I'm looking at this matchup with those two. Okay, Georgia's is able to hit the transfer portal and grab guys, but mostly have their dudes in-house too. Dabo, to me, has a point to prove, Will, that his method is better than others. Even if they lose close, I think Dabo wins in this operation to this upcoming weekend because he's proven that his development is probably better than others say it is inside of Clemson's program. That, to me, is the biggest challenge that he's going to have to go through as far as playing Georgia. Georgia wins. But if he can Dabo and Clemson can keep it close, well, they're starting a 5-star linebacker out of the state of Georgia too. So they're winning the recruiting. They have guys in place. Yeah, Sammy Brown, I think, is number 1 linebacker in this class. They got players. It's a matter of can he coach them up and have they develop enough inside of that building that they can compete. Georgia's going to be Georgia. There's not much you can really say about that. I want to see what Carson Beck does. And that Clemson defense, who's had first, second, and third rounders in the last few drafts, they're going to be stacked. It's a matter of the age and also the level of play from transfers to in-house guys.
Here's the thing about Georgia this year. In 2023, they lost 6 defenders to the NFL draft. In 2022, they lost 8 defenders to the NFL draft. They only lost 4 to the NFL draft this year. Now, granted, they've got a lot of new faces in that secondary, and Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, and Tyke Smith are gone, but they signed the nation's number 1 corner and the number 1 safety in the 2024 high school class. So now you've got Julian Humphrey and incoming 5-star Ellis Robinson, who are going to be the new household names in that secondary. Give me Georgia by 3 touchdowns in this game. Cade Klubnik is too mistake-prone and too erratic to beat this Georgia defense. I think they are going to eat him alive.
3 touchdowns.
I think those DBs shut down Clemson's less than dynamic wide receivers. And I think London Humphreys, the local product from CPA, the transfer from Vandy, is going to have a huge season in that Georgia offense. He is a stud. He's got 10.5 100-meter speed, and he was good in Vandy's offense last year. It was SEC all-freshman team. I think in the Georgia offense, he's SEC just first or second team. Oh, man. He is a name to remember from Nashville there in that Georgia team. 615-737-1045. What does a successful week 1 for Tennessee look like against FCS opposition tomorrow? Ramon Foster tells you next.
It's Ramon Foster for Wesley Mortgage Man. And Wesley Mortgage Man starts with the owner, Chuck McDowell, who's a local Nashville native. He cares about this community and is always proud to serve it. Chuck, he reinvested in people in the place that make Nashville such a wonderful place. While other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in the career that they love, and they love to have you join their team. Chuck and the leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in the mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, and giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun to the mortgage profession. They have unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, and so they make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, just tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
What's going on? 7:02. Good morning. Happy Friday from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans were awarded former Colts cornerback Daryl Baker Jr. off waivers. Baker becomes the third player the Titans have claimed off waivers over the last 2 days. Over the past 2 seasons, Baker has played in 17 games with 6 starts for the Colts. Titans also added a new face to the practice squad, defensive tackle James Lynch, former 4th-round pick of the Vikings, out of Baylor in 2020. He's played 3 years in the NFL, 37 games, 3 starts, and totaled 53 tackles, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for a loss. College football was on last night. Number 24 NC State endured a brutal first half to come out on top of Western Carolina, 38-21. UNC takes down Minnesota in a slugfest, 19-17, and Colorado takes the Week 1 victory despite a questionable play, 31-26. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And we're number 2, getting started on your Friday morning. This is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, live on 104.5 The Zone, as well as 104.5 The Zone TV. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. On the eve of Tennessee football, we will get our first game week preview from VolQuest's Brent Hubbs in 15 minutes. We stream live on 104.5 The Zone TV, which is Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. You can go in the comment section there and interact with us. You will be in the F&M Bank chat the second you do that. With Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is our producer. Kayla Anderson has the morning off. Ramon, what makes tomorrow a success for the Tennessee Volunteers as they host Chattanooga?
Not looking like NC State last night. Let's start there first and foremost. Okay?
Fair enough.
Because, again, we talked about UT Chat yesterday, right, and said it's not like UT Chat is a school that you just book and say, all right, this is a dub. I mean, it should be a dub considering it's Tennessee, but they are a good team. They've put players in the NFL. They have a program at UT Chat. So, for me, it is controlling the line of scrimmage for the defense first. Like, if they stuff that offense for UTC – and have to where the Vols get the ball back often, and then their operation is good. So I see it, Will, as both sides of the ball up front controlling the line of scrimmage. It can't look like the Vols are scrambling to where Nico's getting sacked or you got their quarterback and their running backs running all over the field. You have to look like you are the big dog this weekend. And, again, another successful moment for me will having Nico stand tall the entire game. Knowing when to get out of bounds, absolutely need that, okay? If he is going to run the ball, is he smart enough to know when to get down? All right, and no errant sacks. Like, if you see him in this game particularly to where he is getting blown up either because of mental error or because somebody got whooped, that's a failure to me, Will, this weekend. I absolutely can't stomach seeing that this weekend. Running backs will do their things. I'm not worried about that. Distribution of the ball, Coach Heupel and his offense does it. I'm more worried about the operation of this one, considering it is UT Chat. They don't have far to travel, and I'm sure each one of those kids on that team probably either wanted to play for Tennessee for the most part or just simply hate the Vols because they are the cloud over them at all times. You know that's a part of it.
That's always funny, the mix of these FCS programs who are in the vicinity of the team that they are playing. Because I would imagine, half the roster is Tennessee fans, the other half probably is fans of other SEC schools and couldn't hate Tennessee more.
Yeah. It's so real, though.
I know.
It's so real. You know how many times it was before we got there was a big beef between us and Carson Newman. Like the fights that always happen with Carson Newman.
It's not even FCS. That's lower than FCS.
But imagine they felt
you
like
and your boy Eric Kane are going to have fisticuffs.
Dude, they felt like they should have been at Tennessee. And that's you get a little bit more edginess when you play those types of teams. We did the same thing. It was the same way with Memphis. Why do you think Memphis hates the Vols so much?
love that you just compared Carson Newman to Memphis.
I'm just calling it what it is.
What is that, Division II versus the team that might make the playoff as the G5 representative this year?
Up. Yes, absolutely.
I love that for me. I think for me, if Nico's out of this game in the third quarter healthy, then it's been a successful day.
Okay.
Dominate in the trenches. That's what I want to see from Tennessee, because they have the ability to just run the same downhill inside zone pretty much every play of the game, but they'd probably win by 40. So I would like to see them look like the superior team at the point of attack. And at times against Austin Peay last year, they didn't. For me, it's just avoid what happened against Austin Peay last year, where you were sweating a little too much in the second half of that game, and sweating a little bit too much about how flat you were. Do you think we see the full complement of this offense, though, tomorrow, Ramon, from Nico Iamaleava? Because I wouldn't mind seeing him throw over the middle of the field and do things that Joe Milton was not doing last season, just to show that, hey, this offense is going to be more like it was in 2022 with Hendon Hooker than it was last year with Joe Milton.
I think it's necessary. It's just like
I think we need to see it.
It's just like your old girlfriend go get a new boyfriend, right? Okay, you might be a short king. She go get her 6'4" dude. Like, we need to be able to see. We need to.
What's
be
he
able
look
to
like
see.
without shoes on? Y'all stand back to back real quick. How tall is he?
You see what my analogy is? Like, the fact that you couldn't do it last year, you got to prove to everybody that you can. You can operate that way this year. It's the way I'm at it. So yes, I do want to see Nico go deep accurately. I do want to see him hit some crossing routes and also be decisive if he is going to run. Those are very crucial to me.
She going to call back when she need them shoes tied, though.
I think that is the thing for me. I want to see Nico Iamaleava connect on a couple of deep passes, and I want to see this team dominate in the trenches. Those are the two things I want to see in this one. Let's go to the phones. Wesley is in Gallatin first up. What's up, Wesley?
What's up, Wesley?
All right, so one game I was wondering about y'all's prediction is the Notre Dame Texas A&M game, and how deep should we be looking at this NC State game for next week?
Sure,
that they played this past week.
Yep, I like it. Thank you, Wesley. Thoughts? Notre Dame. You want to take that one first, or let's go NC State first? How worried should NC State fans be?
How worried should NC State fans be? On a scale of 10, I'd say about a 7, because their operation last night wasn't good.
I didn't think Grayson McCall looked comfortable in that offense, and I thought their offensive line was dreadful.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's a good matchup for Tennessee, just early. Again, it's August 30th, but I think James Pierce Jr. was watching that game, licking his chops a little bit.
Yeah, salivating. But this is also what you have to worry about with a team like NC State is how much do they correct themselves going into this week. Again, you have teams that somewhat lay down to a lesser opponent, and then they find a way to correct themselves. And it'll be another home game, essentially, for NC State.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Well,
there'll be more Tennessee fans in Charlotte than NC State fans.
I see a good sea of red being there, too, to where it can get noisy if the Vols fall behind.
Sure, but I don't think it's an NC State home game.
I mean, it's in their home state.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's in their home state.
Tennessee's got
to get in the benefit of the doubt with that.
No.
Yes, 100%.
Tennessee has got a bigger football fan base than NC State. It's not even close.
But we're talking about they're in their home state against another conference team. Like,
Bert,
this will be a big split right here.
Like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you know what else is 3 hours away from Charlotte? Knoxville.
We're rabid as hell. I can admit that. But
the two schools are almost the same distance away from Charlotte.
There will be a strong split.
Well, I bet it's 65 to 70% Tennessee fans.
I go more 55-45 is where I'm at on this.
Fair enough.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I'll be there, so
You going?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, for sure.
No high school football next Friday on the Zone, so I'll be able to.
Don't be lying about crowd sizes. Okay.
All right, A&M and Notre Dame. I like A&M in this game.
You like A&M? For what? I mean, I don't know what to go on with as far as A&M. I know what. I at least know this with Notre Dame. I know they have more stability. They love their coach as far as how he's going to go about, and they always have an offensive line. So for me, I actually like Notre Dame in this game, although they're always overhyped.
See, I just think the cupboard is not nearly as bare in College Station than people think it is. Like, Mike Elko is inheriting still a very good roster. Now, granted, a lot of those players have not performed who were in that number one recruiting class 2 years ago, but
or left.
I just think that Connor Wegman and this offense gets back to what it should have been last year when he was healthy, and if he had been healthy the entire season. Colin Klein as the OC under Mike Elko has a big task against that Notre Dame defense. But Kyle Field at night, week 1, start of a new regime. I cannot go against A&M at home in this game.
And so Mike Elko's also coached transfer quarterback Riley Leonard too.
That's correct.
At Notre Dame. So this is
That's
a blended. This is a blended game here.
Yep. Let's go to Zach in Humble Hendersonville.
There we go.
This morning, Zachary. Good morning.
Good morning, Will, Ramon, Bert. I just have a few things to say about some mocks. Buster, Titans legend, Scream.
Freaking bum.
Cole, I bet you are strange.
Freaking bum.
BJ, Vols legend, Coleman.
Freaking bum.
Oh, yeah.
Terrell, get your popcorn ready for the Vols, Owens.
Man, you ain't handsome.
I have a poem for the entire University of Chattanooga Mocks. Are they little birds or leather socks? You're just a city with big rocks. Come Saturday, the smoky grays running through the T, in the crowd, an orange sea, and Vol Navy on the docks. Y'all are driving up a big hill to get rocky topped. We need no Boo Radley to kill these mockingbirds. And guess what? Vol Nation doesn't give a flock. It don't matter. Vols by 50. Hit the music, Bert.
There is nothing else that we need to add to that. Coming up next, VolQuest's Brent Hubbs will join us after this.
Let's go. It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Again, football's back and summer is over, y'all, okay? And even though the kids have headed back to school, you can leave the homework to Hiller, where this month, all right, y'all got to get in on this, where you can get $99 drain cleaning specials, $500 off select high-efficiency HVAC systems, and new tankless water heaters, or get $1,000 off a whole home generator if you're thinking about those types of items around your home. Again, Hiller can do most everything around your house, and all the Hiller technicians are drug testing and have cleared a background check. Happy you'll be, or the service is free, is always the motto. For more details, go to happyhiller.com for details.
Oh, yes, and for the first time on a Friday morning in the fall, I don't care if it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. We're going to call this fall. With college football starting tomorrow in Knoxville, Tennessee, Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Kayla Anderson has the day off. We are joined by VolQuest and On3's Brent Hubbs. Brent, we finally made it. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Kenny O'Neill Day to you there, Will Bowling.
I love it. I absolutely love it. We've decided it is Jason Swain days until football time in Tennessee, representing our good friend.
That's only going to blow his head up a little bit more, so we probably don't need to do that today, right?
At all. If you know him like I know him, I don't need to do that at all, Hubs. You know how it is. This close to game day, too? No.
He's going to be pacing around that stage tomorrow for the Big Orange Countdown. He's going to have that white towel. Oh, it'll be a show. It'll be the Jason Swain show for us all. We're just trying to get out of the way, my man.
Can't tell him nothing like Kanye West out here, man.
That's how I feel, Brent, this morning with Ramon in his Tennessee hockey jersey of like, today is the Ramon Foster Tennessee kickoff show, and I'm just trying to stay out of the way.
Smart move on your part, man. Smart move.
Hopefully we all can see you this weekend, Hubs. I know you're a busy man on game day, so, hey, we'll just make an appointment whenever we can.
Come by and see me. I'll give you a microphone.
I love it. Well, Brent, before we dive into the war room, dive into the game day eve, you guys of VolQuest have an outstanding deal. We push subscriptions to VolQuest for any Tennessee fan anytime we can on the show because it is a must-have. But you guys got 50% off annual memberships right now, Brent. You are making things very accessible and effective, economical, I would say, for the people.
Yeah, I mean, there's no greater excitement than a football season. I mean, they're just not. I mean, you're going to have overreaction Monday. You got overreaction Friday around the country today with what we saw last night. You got great discussions on a game that's at an entertainment value better than it's ever been right now, and we're trying to enhance that entertainment by making it lighter on your wallet. So if you go to VolQuest right now, you can use the promo code Kickoff24. We're going to give you half off an annual subscription, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
I love it. We can certainly vouch for that. No doubt about it. Brent, what do you think Josh Heupel wants to learn about his team tomorrow? Is there one area you are most specifically interested in watching tomorrow?
That's a great question. I mean, I think all eyes are going to be on the quarterback and just his operation of things and decision-making and, just where is he at from where he was in the bowl game to where he is now. And I think we're all trying to figure out what the pieces of that secondary look like. Now, I don't think you come out of this game saying, okay, these are my five in the secondary. They went and won the job in this game. Okay, but I think you're trying to figure out, do we have five we can count on back there? Do we truly have 8? Do we have 10? Where's our depth? What does that look like at that position? And then I think for the offensive side of guys, and Ramon, you can speak to this. I mean, you did it in college, and obviously you did it in the NFL. In the NFL, you had the preseason. That first game for linemen, in particular, you think you're in football shape, and then you go out, and this offense is going at a no-huddle pace, and you look up, and they've got a 30-yard gain, and somebody's screaming at you to sprint down there and get in a stance and go again. At some point, you got to pace yourself and get your legs under you, and I'm curious to see where a guy like Seaton is and where some of those guys who didn't get a ton of work in the preseason are from a conditioning standpoint.
No doubt. That's always going to be the case, and that's why I think coaches always try to have those 100-play scrimmages, hubs, to try to see what they can get out of guys in those moments. Because, again, it's 5 that's got to work as one. What has been the conversation around that offensive line, though, 2 hubs going into this game week, man? Are they at a good place as far as understanding who the starters are? And will we see a rotation that I know sometimes on the college level, coaches don't like to break hearts, man, and they'll rotate a guy before actually deciding, hey, you're the starter.
Well, I mean, you got Lance Hurd at left tackle, plug-and-play guy who everybody thinks is going to be an NFL player. John Campbell's making the flip to right. I think he's comfortable at the right side. He's not worked a ton there, but I think he's completely bought in to being the right tackle. You got 2 veterans in Mays and Spraggins. At left guard, I think Andre Kuric is going to start, but I think they're going to rotate at that position early in the game by design because I think that competition is still ongoing there. Interesting what you're saying about breaking hearts. I thought Josh Heupel made a really interesting comment Wednesday night on Ball Calls about the chemistry of this team. He loves the chemistry and the makeup of this team and where they're at. But he acknowledged it changes this week because roles start to become defined. And just because you maybe were in a heavy rotation in preseason camp, or maybe you got first-team reps because it was a maintenance day for some guys and things like that, you really start to find out what your role is here over the first couple of weeks. And you've got to accept that role. And I think that's where the leadership in the locker room is important. And I think that's where guys have to be 100% bought in to the big picture. And it's not about me. It's about the team. I think this team is there, but, this is a pretty deep, talented team with a lot of guys expecting a lot of individual opportunities and snaps. And, they're going to have some of those limitations. So how does everybody adapt to whatever their role becomes will be critical for this team and their growth throughout the season.
Brent Hubbs with us, VolQuest on 3, talking Vols. Hubbs, with that also being said, you and Will mentioned Nico this weekend, man, for this upcoming game. What are the expectations, man? I don't know if I've seen a more, I don't want to call it hyped up, more anticipated start for a quarterback than Nico, right?
Everybody's been talking about this guy since he signed with Tennessee, and he was On 3's number one player in the country, and all of those things create probably some unrealistic expectations, but certainly a ton of excitement and anticipation for what he might look like. I think this is an interesting balance for Josh Heupel too, because everybody's like, okay, you get in and out, and, you keep everybody healthy, and you get guys to the sidelines as fast as you can. Nico's played 4 quarters of football. I mean, he's got 1 start under his belt. He played some mop-up duty last year, but he was, he needs as many reps as he can get. But the backup quarterback, Gaston Moore, has never played a meaningful snap either. I mean, he was the third-team backup guy a year ago. So how do you manage the workload? What all are you trying to accomplish? I think for Nico, it's not about stats. I don't think it's anything about what your numbers look like. I think it's about your efficiency. How do you manage the game? What does your decision-making look like? What is your timing like? What's your feel? How do you make side adjustments? Get a team out of a bad play into a good play when you're playing in tempo? And then what's your efficiency in the red zone? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This team has to be a better red zone team if they're going to have any hope of living up to the expectations they have for themselves and the fans have for them. And he has to be a big reason why they're different in the red zone this year. And I'm curious to see what that looks like on Saturday.
VolQuest's Brent Hubbs with us every Friday morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, each week at 7:20. Brent, I know you wrote in the War Room about Josh Heupel's feelings about the iPads on the sideline, the in-helmet communication, the way new technology affects Tennessee football this year. Why do you think Heupel doesn't love or maybe isn't just overly excited about the film study aspect and the iPads on the sideline?
Because it's new. I mean, coaches are creatures of habit, right? I mean, Ramon, how many new drills did you get on the offensive line in your career at Tennessee?
Same thing every day, Hubbs. Same
Coach
thing.
Fuller, yeah.
You know what I mean? Flat back, flying bambinos. We did all those things every day, right?
Yep.
I think it's one of those things for coaches. I don't think he's against it, but it's another layer of things on the sideline that can be good if it all works, but you're skeptical, is everything going to work the way it's going to work? And I think there's that's kind of a natural feeling, right? Like helmet communication makes a lot of sense. Okay, it works. So, but is it going to work in every venue? And here's the other thing you know about coaches do. If a play doesn't, and I'm not talking about Josh Heupel, I'm saying in general, if a play doesn't work, or a couple of plays you had planned don't work and the defense stops it, somebody on the sideline is going to start to wonder, is somebody listening in? Has somebody got on our signal? Have they figured this out? You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where it's just new. I don't think he's against it. I think he sees benefit to it. I think he wishes the iPad screens were 32 inches instead of 8 or 10 or whatever they are, because it'd be easier for everybody to see on the sideline. But it's new, and I think until you go through new, you're always concerned about how it affects you when your checklist of everything you're trying to get done on the sideline is down to details that people wouldn't even believe. And so I think that's where Josh Heupel is right now. And I think a lot of coaches around the country are the same way.
Brent, the breakdown of the running back snaps, one thing I think is really interesting tomorrow, and Dylan Sampson is healthy again. You've got Deshaun Bishop, the Carnes product, who's benefited from the extra reps in practice, Peyton Lewis, who's come on strong, and then a healthy Cam Seldon getting back as well. What do you think the breakdown is with those four guys, and how ready, in your opinion, is Dylan Sampson to be the guy in this Tennessee offense this year?
Oh, I think he's ready to be the guy. I think he's been waiting for this moment. I think Darrell Sims, welcome to the SEC, and welcome to what an SEC roster looks like, because you're going to have four guys standing around all trying to jump in front of the other to go out into the game, right? I mean, everybody's wanting to play. And how you manage that and workload in week 1 and week 2 moving forward is what I was talking about, is roles become defined, because maybe, I think it can be hard for Deshaun Bishop. I mean, he has earned the right to play and play early. But is he going to be the second back end, or is he going to be the fourth back end after taking all the first-team reps? I don't know. That's up to Darrell Sims and how he manages his room. But, you got to get Peyton Lewis work. You want to keep him engaged. You want to keep his development going. Cam Seldon, you say, okay, you don't want to beat him up. He doesn't need a ton of work. That guy's played one meaningful game in his career. Right? Dylan Sampson's got a ton of experience. I would get Dylan Sampson in and out of the game very quickly on Saturday, if I could. I would go in early rotation and probably try to protect him as much as I could, because he is your one proven commodity that you're going to have trust in when you go to Charlotte next week, that he can handle the moment, he's going to take care of the football and all those types of things. But those other three guys, man, they're all going to be chomping at the bit for some work, and they all need it. The question is, how do you manage that on tomorrow afternoon when you're trying to figure out, all right, who gets the second series, who gets the forces? And I can tell you this, Dylan Sampson doesn't want to take his pads off early. He's mad because he didn't get enough scrimmage reps in the preseason. He was mad in the spring because he didn't get enough scrimmage work and enough contact work. So he wants to go. So Darrell Sims got his hands full in managing that roster and that room, particularly in this opening week or two.
I kind of want to hit the hot spots for the weekend before we get to Danny White's contract. And one of those other hot spots is the fan, eyes on James Pierce, man. Will he be on the pitch count, or is he going to get like a line share of the plays to go make plays, because they're so deep on that defensive line? You see what I'm saying? Like, some coaches say, no, we're just going to pace this thing, and you get your reps when you get your reps, and you can't just play every snap.
Yeah, it's interesting because Rodney Garner is such an old-school coach, Ramon. You go out to that first scrimmage, and I wasn't out there, but you get all the feedback from the first scrimmage, and there's, 5 or 6 offensive guys that are on maintenance days. They've not been cleared, or they're being cautious with them or whatever, and you say, well, okay, Rodney Garner's got 13 defensive linemen. James Pierce not getting – no, James Pierce got a full day's work at a scrimmage. To the point he was probably thinking, really, Coach? Like – I'm good, right? So with Rodney, there is no let up. There's just, you're not, I don't care if you're projected to be this pick or if you're going to be a quote scout team guy. You're going to do it, and you're going to do it by my standard, my way, and nobody's getting a day off anywhere along the way. I do think they can hockey change this, like a line change in hockey. I think they can rotate 4 in, 4 out anytime they want to. Now, Chattanooga's not going to huddle. I do think Tennessee wants to stress those defensive linemen a little bit, and kind of tax them. But I think with each series, you're going to see some rotations, because I don't think Rodney Garner wants to play guys, even in big games. I don't think he wants to play guys tons of snaps. I think he wants to keep them as fresh as possible. So we'll see. I expect James to get a pretty good workload on Saturday. But I think, you're going to go into some games, and there's going to be a lot of games this year where your inside linemen are playing, 25 snaps, and that's all you get. You can be the starting tackle and get 25 snaps, maybe 30 in a game, if that. And that's the luxury of having 13 guys. All those guys have to understand the benefit of staying fresh and what they can do to offensive guards and tackles in the second half by wearing people down. This coaching staff believes that defensive front, because of its depth and talent of depth, that they can really wear offensive lines out over a course of a 4-quarter game.
And with that being said, Danny White, He cashes in, Hubs, man. How did
Show
it
me the money.
I guess he paid Tony V, and he said, well, leave a little bit for me, huh?
I think I think it's a situation where Dundee Plowman said, listen, this program's running at a high clip. It's running, unbelievably well. And we're not upsetting anything here, right? We want him. We want Danny White. He's done a great job. He's continued to do a great job. This department is the healthiest it's been in a long, long time, and we're going to keep it that way. And so she rewarded him by making him the highest paid AD in the country, or not in the country, but in the conference this year. And he's going to continue to be rewarded.
I love it. It is unbelievable what she's been able to do up there. Brent, as you look on the recruiting front, moving forward into the fall as well, I know Tennessee extending an offer to a Florida defensive line commitment, but as the page turns to 2026 a little bit right now, who is at the top of the board for Tennessee as the fall begins? They start to try to plan out some of these official and unofficial visits.
Oh, I think the board's very in flux as to what that looks like. Interesting, they offered a defensive lineman in the 25 class last night, as I think they're still looking to close out 25 with a defensive lineman possibly and a running back. And 26, Tennessee's hot right now. And now that doesn't mean they're going to get everybody, but they have everybody's attention right now because they're hot. People are paying attention to what Tennessee's doing, the success they're having in recruiting, the expectations they have. And I think you're going to see Tennessee work North Carolina, work Virginia, work that footprint really hard and continue to do that. And I think they have had a bunch of momentum all summer long in recruiting, and I don't think that's going to stop throughout the fall. I think a lot of people want to see what Tennessee's all about.
Elsewhere in North Carolina, Brent, how much is James Pierce Jr. salivating watching the NC State offensive line against the Catamounts of Western Carolina, who Ramon texted me last night and goes, "This is a school?"
It's a great school and a great look. It's a beautiful campus. Okay, there's my shameless plug for Western Carolina today. But they'll be better in week 2. They'll clean up some things. You got a new quarterback, you got a new offensive coordinator. What's interesting in that game last night, and their offensive line did not play well, so I'm not acting like they did or anything. What happens in that game if they don't drop the pick 6 to open the game?
You're right.
And if Grayson McCall hits the 2 crossers that would have been walk-in touchdowns in the first quarter. That game could have been 28-0 in the first quarter if the quarterback makes 2 throws and the guy holds on to a ball. But you let him hang around, and you got shoved around. And so that'll be an ugly film study for both sides of the line of scrimmage, because there's a point in time, I think Western Carolina just ran out of gas, but there was a point in time, they were shoving it to NC State on both sides of the ball in the line of scrimmage, which will be a reality check for NC State. I'm sure their overreaction from their fan base this morning is pretty entertaining. But what is it, Ramon? You make your biggest improvement week 1 to week 2?
Week 1 to week 2.
That's right.
We'll see what that looks like. Their quarterback's got to play better than he played last night if they're going to live up to their expectations. And they've got to grow, obviously, in the line of scrimmage.
VolQuest's Brent Hubbs joins us every Friday here on the show. Go to VolQuest.com. Kickoff24 is the promo code. 50% off annual memberships. You get that all the way up until kickoff. Well worth the price of what you get from VolQuest.com. Love it.
Yeah, and if you're kind enough to us, we might send you a Ramon Foster picture.
Hey!
Well, and if that's the case, then I just need my jar of canned goods from you then.
You better find me on Saturday.
Name, image, and likeness. Still working for the young man from Ripley, Tennessee, here in the studio. Brent, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. There's Brent Hubbs with us. You will hear him courtesy of the Vol Network here on the station tomorrow. All right, Ramon, let's get into the NFL headline. When we come back from yesterday, there is some reporting going on in the Brandon Ayuk saga that I think is crap. I'll tell you what that is next. So at last, after 84 years of negotiating, Brandon Ayuk will be a San Francisco 49er. It's Ramon, Kalen, Will, RKW on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, kicking off your morning with you. So according to league sources, Ramon, and a couple of different reports, Brandon Ayuk accepted the same deal that has been on the table since August 12th from the San Francisco 49ers. 4 years, $120 million. This has been a back and forth for 6 months. I said this when the saga began. This is the way San Fran does business. Right before week one, they consistently reward their homegrown players. They've now done this with George Kittle, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, and Brandon Ayuk. But do you believe that Ayuk accepted the same deal that had been on the table since August 12th?
I do, because I had heard through some of my sources that this is how Brandon Ayuk operates. Whenever you're on his other side, he lets you know you're on the other side, and he just makes you just waddle in your own mess. And from my understanding, it was the conversation about, well, I told you guys what I wanted and you didn't initially want to do it. So you came back with the deal I told you to do, and now I'm going to make you wait to say yes. And it's exactly as it's set right now. So he took everybody on the roll. I actually thought he was going to Pittsburgh. I know Bird is very delighted in the decision to stay in San Francisco as he's fist pumping right now. But I did think he was actually going to go to Pittsburgh. But here's the thing. If you look at this situation and how it unfolded, San Francisco really couldn't afford to not pay him. They couldn't afford to not have him this year because they still got a quarterback that's on a rookie deal. They also had to get Trent taken care of also. And with that being said, Brandon Ayuk strengthened their chances to actually be a Super Bowl contender. This had to happen. It's just that Ayuk and his camp knew it had to happen too, and he just put their face in the fan.
So Albert Breer tweets yesterday, the scenario, as I understand it, would have had the 49ers landing second and third round picks from the Pittsburgh Steelers for Brandon Ayuk and then flipping the 3 to Denver. However, the Steelers did not want to part with a player for Ayuk, and San Francisco needed a player back that was essentially guaranteed, of saying, all right, who are we getting that's replacing the production now that we are missing, which I think that makes perfect sense. I just think that is way too cut and dry for a negotiation that was so public. I think both sides now, in hindsight, want to win in the court of public opinion, Ramon.
100%.
That is what I think San Francisco is doing is, hey, make sure at the bottom of that article you make sure they know this is the same deal he's had since August 12th. I think that's an oversimplistic way to categorize this entire situation. I really think so, because ultimately, yes, in the NFL, leverage always favors the team. Always. The teams have a remarkable amount of leverage over players who sit out in situations like this. But as public as this was, I just think both sides want to kind of stick it to the other now that it's done. And so both sides are going to put out there, oh, well, this is what we wanted. This is what we turned down. And then the flip side of it is going to be the Brandon Ayuk camp trying to just categorize it in a way of like him finally getting an offer that was most valuable to him. I don't know. I just think that is when information like that comes out in hindsight, I rarely take it at total face value.
And you know who's taking the biggest, I guess you say, cleanup campaign too? It's Brandon Ayuk's agent. Because again, it's the 49ers to come out and say what they said, and he's out here saying, well, some language in that contract changed. And like to your point, everybody's trying to get a win in this thing, and it's honestly just a bad public fight is what it somewhat turned into.
Interesting. Andrew Brand on Twitter this morning said, I have seen reports that Ayuk accepted the same offer that was there for weeks. He says, 1, I don't believe that. 2, there are some, perhaps many teams that would have reduced the offer or taken it off the table. Not here. NFL leverage always favors the team. This is a rare player win.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see how it works out. Again, the issue that you always run into with these types of guys as they go into training camp late too is, will he actually be ready to go, and what does his hamstrings look like? Because teams now are at that point where, all right, we got you, well, we're going to use the heck out of you. Screw it. I've seen it done with running backs, wide receivers too, whereas, all right, you gave us a problem, now it's time to see if you're going to answer the bell every single time we call.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if San Francisco, though, operates like that, considering this is the way they always through their extensions.
I actually do think this one got a little bit more messier than they actually wanted it to. As far as like
100%
they closed it in a San Francisco way,
Right.
But this deal would have been done 3 weeks ago.
I think there was more doubt about this ending with him in another uniform than there was with Bosa.
100%.
Yeah, I think the rumblings were legit about him being a Steeler. I imagine then the Steelers part of this was done. I imagine, though, that it's San Francisco having trouble finding, all right, what can we get for a 3 at the wide receiver position? Like, if we're flipping this to Denver, like, I don't think Denver was willing to do the deal, which ultimately now keeps Ayuk from being a Steeler.
Is this the last year of the window, in your opinion?
San Francisco, no.
No?
I don't think so.
All right.
I still think they're too talented.
I think this is probably about as strong as that window gets this year.
It just depends on the cap gymnastics they can do to surround Brock Purdy with talented players. For me.
Yeah.
And until we see what that looks like in 2025, I can't make a strong enough statement. Ask me again this time next year if their window's still open. I think it probably still will be.
All right, we'll see. McCaffrey, and they got a lot of guys that's got to answer this year.
Question is Brock Purdy good enough for them to always be in a Super Bowl window? That's the $1 million question.
You know why we're questioning that? Because he's not a first rounder.
Coming up next, hour number 3 of the show's second half of the program and the biggest topics from Rand Carthon's press conference yesterday. We'll get back to Titans discussion coming up next.
What's going on at 8 o'clock? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Titans have been awarded former Colts cornerback Darrell Baker Jr. off waivers. Baker becomes the third player the Titans have claimed off waivers over the last 2 days. Over the past 2 seasons, Baker has played in 17 games, including 6 starts last season for the Colts. Titans also add a new face to the practice squad, defensive tackle James Lynch, a former 4th-round pick of the Vikings out of Baylor in 2020. He's played 3 years in the NFL, played in 37 games, and had 3 starts, also totaled 53 tackles, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for a loss. College football rundown from last night. Number 24, NC State endured a brutal first half to come out on top of Western Carolina, 38-21. UNC takes down Minnesota in a slugfest, 19-17, and Colorado takes the Week 1 victory despite some questionable play calling, 31-26. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show is here already. The morning is flying by on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW on 104.5 The Zone and streaming live on your smart device, 104.5 The Zone TV, available on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. On the show that still is not recognizing that it is called X, and on the 104.5 The Zone app. You head to the App Store. It is free to you. All of it we bring to you, the people, free of charge. Our only ask of you in response is to subscribe to the channel.
That's all we ask.
That's all we need from you. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that little bell in the bottom. You get notifications when we go live. You will never miss a program from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., plus our Zone original podcasts like Football and Other F Words with Zach Lyons, Mike Hearn, Stoney Keeley, the entire crew. Those guys crushing it. And you can get that on podcast feeds and on the YouTube channel as well. Coming up in 20 minutes, we've got Jeffery Simmons.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Looking forward to that conversation, man. Jeff, not only Big Jeff on the football field, but also in the community, too, man.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear about his foundation and his event that he has coming up. I'll be definitely there. Can't wait to go to that event, man.
Yeah.
So looking forward to the conversation. It's the weekend. I think the players get the weekend off, too.
Nice.
Always was the best. You hear me?
Absolutely.
Only thing that sucks about it is, on Monday you got to go back to work. But Coach would always say you'd rather be laboring on Labor Day, because that means you made the 53-man roster.
Yeah, really cool stuff coming up with Jeffery Simmons. Monday, September 16th, we're excited to be involved with his Give 'em a Reason season, a cocktails and conversation night at Hall's Chop House on Monday, September the 16th at 6 o'clock. We're going to talk about Jeff's charitable efforts, what he's doing in the community, and this great event coming up in just a few weeks, and get ready for the season as well. Talk about his new linebacker.
I know.
Ernest Jones. Played right behind him.
I mean, the entire defense at this point.
That's right. That's right. Really cool, by the way, before we get into what Rand talked about in his press conference yesterday, the video the Titans put out on social media of a hidden camera with Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon telling guys they made the team is so cool. Really, really cool. Seeing Thomas Odukoya, David Martin Robinson, Andrew Rupsich, and John Ajuku.
James Williams.
As well. It was so funny. Rupsich was like, man, I brought in my iPad just in case. He's like, y'all didn't tell me to, but just in case I needed to turn it back in and I was getting cut, I brought it with me. It's sitting right here in the calendar. They're like, easy, big fella. You're good. You're good. You made it. You're safe.
He called his agent. He was like, I know they ain't calling me here to cut me at 2 o'clock.
Not 2:30.
And Callahan was like, well, we're not. So you were right.
What's crazy is his situation I've seen happen. Remember I told you guys I don't know if we were just the same group of guys, the dudes were in the same room together and the same decision had to be made. I had a guy that came over. This wasn't even the Niagara Falls ones, okay? They actually called him probably at about 1 o'clock on cut day, so he had time, if I'm not mistaken. I had a guy come to my house, and it was actually after 4 o'clock at the time. I actually think they had sent the transaction through. He was at my crib with his girl, and he was just like, got a phone call. He went downstairs. And I was just like, oh, no way. Not right now. So Rup's situation I've actually seen happen 15 minutes or even after the cut period. And I felt so bad, man. I was just like, well, I guess we're no longer teammates anymore. And this dude should have made the team. He was on the Super Bowl team and everything, man. Young offensive lineman. That was,
It is crazy, that whole process. I think the Titans really showed they want to do things the right way and they want to be still a people business. Like that whole process and all the cuts and all the decisions made in person is doing things the right way.
It is. And it was cool to have those guys celebrate that moment like that. I thought David Martin Robinson and his was by far one of the coolest ones. And I was glad they just, certified to him, like, no, you made this team. Like, we didn't pick you. Like, you made us pick you. So it was awesome.
Yep. If you look at other teams, too, like the Carolina Panthers, some people made the initial 53, like undrafted wide receiver at Holy Cross, Jalen Coker. Hey, you made the initial 53, and then he was waived immediately the next day when they claimed 5 people off waivers. So it's cool to see the Titans not only do the right thing initially, but not shake their hands and pat them on the back. Hey, you made the initial, and by the way, we're going to try to get you back on the practice squad if you don't mind that, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, Lord. No way, Bert.
5 guys. That's crazy.
Tough world.
That's sick.
Interesting. That was the stuff from Rand yesterday. That was pretty cool. Brian Callahan speaking as well at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park with the Titans back on the practice field, says the Titans are still hoping to get DeAndre Hopkins back for the opener. Callahan saying he is progressing and in a good place. It will just be a matter of how he feels during practice next week. Callahan also feels good about where Jamal Adams is physically, where he is getting ready for work next week. Interesting, Ramon, that Mason Kinsey was the 7th receiver, according to Brian Callahan. Said, I told Mason he was the 7th guy and that if we had kept 7, he would have made it.
It
lines up with the exact 53 we made early this week on Monday morning. We said, if they keep 7 receivers, the 7th one is Kinsey. And turns out that was correct.
If you listen to the presser, too, I think they said as far as Mason Kinsey went, like the conversation over the weekend is like, don't play and, the pinky and stuff like that. So they had a conversation. I'd also say this for Mason Kinsey, him being on practice squad with this team, I don't think it's like other players that are on practice squad. I actually think if I think I'm smart enough, which is, sometimes you just never know. But he probably negotiated for a higher salary to be on practice squad too. I'd expect for a guy like him. I think the minimum for a practice squad these days is like $383,000. It wouldn't shock me if he actually got a little bit more because, they like Mason here. He actually has value for this team. That's where if I'm his agent, I'm probably asking for a little bit more.
And that essentially means that Bryce Oliver was the 8th receiver because they brought him back as well to the practice squad. And Callahan spoke about that yesterday, about they sold him on not starting from scratch with a new organization. Like, regardless of where you would be in the hierarchy with the New York Jets, who Justin Mello reported reached out to Oliver, or with any of these other teams, like, we've already started your development here.
Yeah.
So see this process through as much as you can before going and starting from square one at a brand new process, because the grass may always be greener, Ramon, but I imagine this time of year there are a lot of players who don't know what they have because they've only been with one organization. And it's, I would imagine, hard to know what is best for you as an undrafted free agent looking at your options. Like, all right, well, I'm 8th right now on the depth chart, but also, like, they believed in me first in Tennessee, and they have a plan for me to be an NFL contributor. Do I really want to risk it and go somewhere else where I might play quicker, but the plan in place might not be as good for me?
I'm going to say something that's probably, some people will probably push back on it, but here's the thing about him trying to make a decision between Tennessee Titans and the New York Jets is he may actually have more immediate success with the Jets because of the quarterback and the team that they have built up and the expectations of the Jets. But as far as his career goes, it may be a big detriment to go there because here's the thing. How much longer is Aaron Rodgers going to be there? Heck, at this point, we're already talking about Robert Saleh being on the hot seat as it pertains to his coaching job, right? So is that side of it too. If he goes there and commits to being one of those Jets players as an undrafted guy, which is he's not one of theirs, then that could actually set his career back if there's change to come in New York. The thing about him staying for less here, if he did stay for less here or just made a better decision to be here in Tennessee, is this. Brian Callahan knows him. His wide receiver coaches know him. Rand Carthon knows him. This is a career decision for me, for him, in my personal opinion, to where, yeah, I may lose a little to stay here in Tennessee, but I'm gaining more from my career. And again, look at D-Hop. Are they deciding to stay with him next year? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of questions. I mean, Tyler Boyd's on a 1-year deal. So if you think of the big picture as it pertains to Oliver, like, that makes more sense. Although there might be more fun and enjoyment and being around Aaron Rodgers in New York.
I think the other side of that too, though, Ramon, if Will Levis is good this year and with the energy and the positivity in this building, let's say this offense is good and this team does make the playoffs and Will Levis is that guy, this is going to be a hot destination for free agent wide receivers for the foreseeable future.
Come on, man. And you've seen him make plays.
So that also might affect a guy like Bryce Oliver. And I think moving forward, we could be looking at an organization that has not been elite at the wide receiver position since they've been in Nashville and might now overcorrect. I say overcorrect like it's a bad thing. It's a great thing. Might go to the other end of the spectrum of being one of the most wide receiver friendly offenses in the league. We'll see.
Seriously. I mean, right now, you already got Dan Orlovsky of ESPN speaking about this is a different Tennessee Titans offense, et cetera, right?
See if they can do it in the regular season.
How often have we said that without mentioning just one person?
Talking about different offenses when, Corey Davis and A.J. Brown were almost 1,000-yard receivers in the same year.
Come on.
2021.
Facts.
With Ryan Tannehill. There was a point there where Tannehill, through his last 24 games, had the same numbers as Mahomes through his last 24 games.
For what it's worth.
But he just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah, couldn't.
And definitely not behind a bad offensive line.
Could not sustain it.
Coming up, Jeffery Simmons will join the show next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues here on 104.5 The Zone this morning alongside Ramon Foster. My name is Will Bowling. Kayla with the morning off as we talk to Titans captain Jeffery Simmons joining us here this morning for a couple of minutes. Jeff, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. First off, y'all gave Kayla the weekend off.
Jeff, hear me out, man. Not only a Friday, but a holiday too. Like that's like the ultimate squeeze.
That's a long weekend.
I know, right?
Like, we know those
She's
types
living her
of
best
people.
life.
Like, I ain't mad at it because your days off is your days off. But Jeff,
I'm messing with it. I love, like, you got to have them days off. Though.
gotta have it. You side-eyed though, huh? I'm hearing it in your voice.
What'd you say?
I say you a side-eyed though. I hear it in your voice.
Man, you know, it's the same thing with us though. You know, we get them off days. They get a little too long, and people start getting comfortable. So you just got to make sure you check on people on their off days. Make sure they ain't getting too comfortable.
Okay.
I heard that.
I'm with
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, want to talk about first the event you've got coming up September 16th at Hall's Chop House here in Nashville. Your inaugural fundraiser for your nonprofit, Give 'Em a Reason. Really, really cool stuff, Jeff. Just tell us about this cause, about what you've got going on with this event, and how people can get involved.
Honestly, man, so I'm going to just start off with the reason why I came up with the name, Give 'Em a Reason. You know, throughout my life, I done had a lot of adversity, and I had a lot of things where I had to prove people, not just the type of football player I am, but the person I am. And, you know, when in life you just have to sometimes give people a reason to see the other side of you, give people a reason to trust you, give people a reason to just believe in you, that, you know, you are who you say you are. And when I first thought of a name, I was like, I don't really know. But then, you know, I was just going back and forth with my marketing team. I was like, I like Give 'Em a Reason, because it just, you know, when you're talking to kids back in your hometown, or you're talking to kids here, you know, no matter if it's around sports, if it's around anything that, you know, they want to do in life, you know, it's not going to be handed to you. And one of the things that I always tell, you know, people who I talk to, the kids who I talk to, you know, give these people a reason to be able to give you a scholarship. Give someone a reason to be able to trust you to come in their business and help them run their business, you know, build spotlight for their business. So that's the reason why I came up with that name. And I just, like I said, my message to the youth, or whoever I'm talking to, you know, is it family or whoever, just give whoever or whatever in life you're trying to do a reason to be able to give you the opportunity. And like I said, that's how I came up with the name of Give 'Em a Reason for my foundation, because of course my foundation is surrounded by youth. You know, when I first started it, I was trying to find out what I wanted to do with my foundation. But I already knew what I wanted to do, because I have been already doing it. I've been working with the kids. I've been doing football camps. You know, I do small giveaways or whatever it may be. And I was like, you know, just stick with the kids. This is where my heart at. This is what I love. I love working with the kids. And like I said, that's how I came up with the foundation. And, you know, like my motto is just, I want to just try to keep creating opportunities for our youth. And, you know, one of the things that when you talk to a kid, you know, I never forget it. I was at my football camp, and he was like, man, I just don't know if I want to play football. He said, I'm so big, this and that, you know. And one of the things that it touched me, because, like, you know, why no one else is trying to build this kid's self-esteem. And that's one of my biggest things for me, you know. I know who I am, and I'm very confident in who I am. So my job is to keep trying to inspire you to keep building that self-esteem for themselves. So that's, like I said, that's the reason why building self-esteem is also in my motto, and in the reason why, you know, I want to do I started my foundation. And of course, you know, when you talk about this with me, when I talk about trying to create opportunity, you know, one of the biggest things that I want to do with my foundation is I want to build a center back in where I grew up at in Nashville County, Macon, Mississippi. So, and, you know, of course, like, I could just, you know, decide, come on, we could get out of pocket. But one of the things, the great thing about a foundation, you know, you can have people who willing and, you know, want to help. And that's the reason why you have these type of fundraisers. You know, it's not about me. It's not about, you know, just, Jeffery Simmons or for the Tennessee Titans. It's about me trying to create them opportunity for our youth and trying to help raise money for our youth to be able to do things like that. And so we could create them opportunity because, like, man, people don't understand when I tell them this, though, but, like, when I get on social media, especially, I still got a Facebook. I know I'm a little young. People are like, why are you still on Facebook? That's for the old people. But I do it because I also have a fan page on there, but I have a lot of people that I still follow from Mississippi. And when I get on there and I see some of our youth, you know, throwing away their lives to the streets, and I just think of it like, I think what could they be doing in small town Macon, Mississippi, and instead being in the streets. So, you know, when I just think about things like that, I'm like, nothing, because they don't have nothing down there to distract them or to keep them busy. And then all they know right now is the streets. So, and that's one of the things that this year that I really have been honed on to, just trying to talk to my marketing team, PR team, just, you know, I want to be able to do these type of fundraisers because I want to try to really get something going. And not just in Mississippi, but the city that I'm playing in. You know, I love Nashville, and, you know, that's the reason why I wanted to do this foundation here because, you know, I haven't done like a football camp. I haven't done some small stuff here and there, but, you know, I really just want to bring something bigger to Nashville. And I'm big on just doing something hands-on. So, you know, whatever ideas that, you know, people could bring to me or my marketing team bring to me, I'm always, you know, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this because, like I said, and guys been around me. They know I'm not all about the just, you know, publicity of it. You know, I do it because I care, and I just want better for all youth because they are all futures. So, like I said, I know that was long-winded, but that's the reason why I kind of started my foundation, and that's the reason why I'm trying to continue to help raise money for my foundation. And that's the reason why we're having this event here at Hall Shop House. Of course, you guys invited. You know, I want to see you guys there just to, you know, hang out, talk ball, of course, and just be able to, you know, do it for a good cause. You know, that's the reason why I'm doing it, and I'm excited to actually, you know, I've been talking about it for dang near a year and a half now. We need to get your first fundraiser going, you know, where you want to do it at. But the first thing I thought about was doing it at here in Nashville, and the second part I already knew I wanted to do it at was Hall's because that's one of my favorite restaurants. Of course, like I really, you know, I enjoy going to Hall's. The people there are just amazing. You know, they're real friendly and nice. They're good to me and my family every time we go in there. So just didn't think of no other better place to do it than at Hall's. So like I said, I know that was long-winded, but, man, I appreciate you guys also for just sponsoring this and being able to, you know, help me promote this because, you know, I want this to be huge. I want it to be big, especially for my first one.
Jeff, first and foremost, you can't just be giving out halls like that, man, because I like going there too. Okay, in that little bar area, okay, a lot of folks know about it, but like now they're going to really know about it, Jeff. I don't know if I'm okay with that because I like going too.
Hey, hopefully they could give y'all a little discount next time since y'all, you know, you guys helping me sponsor this, and now that we know that it's one of your favorite ones, I got to make sure I hit up my guy Chad. He's the manager there, so.
See,
speaking our language now.
That's what I'm talking about. But with that also too, Jeff, with your foundation, man, give them a reason. Is this? I hear you bring this up, and you said it a couple times, and you keep mentioning, you know, like the confidence of it, and you mentioning the young man at your football camp that's deciding if he do or does not want to play football. Where was it for you in your life where you felt like, all right, this is my moment to like either go right? I usually say about 13, 14 years old, especially young males that play football, we either go right or we go left and we hit the streets and we go with our homeboys doing stuff we're not supposed to. Who either put that confidence in you, Jeff, to continue on, or do you remember that moment where you had to make a decision and say, yeah, I'm better suited doing it my way, and that's chasing my dreams?
Man, I had no option. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It wasn't no option for me. That's why I give all the praise to my mom, a lady who raised 5 kids on her own, and a lady who made sure that I didn't mess up. I'm talking about when it started, when I was a kid, all the way up. My mom always, it's yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's been like that since I can remember. And it's the same thing with the streets. Like, I didn't have an option to go up the road to Johnny's house. When my mom biggest thing was, you have a brother, you have 2 sisters. You get in that backyard, you don't have to go and do what everybody else doing. And like I said, I didn't have an option. And when I say it was her way or no way, like you wanted to do it her way. I'm telling you like that. And because it was my mom. Of course, we came from Louisiana when I was a knee-high baby, and I knew my mom got raised old school, just the way sometimes I used to hear her talk, and I didn't want to go down that road. I didn't want to mess with my mom. It's just something I didn't want to do. But man, when I say my mom instilled just everything in me that we stand for as a family and that she stood for. I was telling one of my teammates the other day, we were just having a conversation. I've been the man of the house since maybe where she really put it into me like this. You are the man of the house, and no man in this house. You and your brother are the man of the house. You protect your family. You protect this house, and that's one of the things that maybe since I was probably 7 or 8 years old, it was just I was so young, and she was trying to instill that in me so young that it's okay to have friends, but you don't need friends because you have a family right here in this house that. And I knew it was she didn't care. She didn't care if I got mad because I couldn't go to the road and shoot basketball or do such and such, because she wanted to instill that, I'm not raising you to be in the streets. I'm raising you to be a young man, to respect everyone, especially your elders. So I think, man, I never had an option. It's always with my mom on me. I don't remember a time as a kid that I came in the house past the street lights, and that's, you hear people saying that, but that was real for me. My mom didn't play that, so.
I remember that one, too. I went and act like I was going to jump into a motel pool with my cousins, and my mama hawked me down and beat me around the kitchen table. One, because I couldn't swim, okay? The other one's, why you hanging with your cousins breaking and trespassing at a motel swimming pool? So, Jeff, I know where you coming from on that one, okay? I still remember that whooping.
Don't play with them mamas, man.
That's right. Jeffery Simmons with us here this morning. Got individual sponsorships and tickets for this event, September 16th at Hall's Chop House in Nashville. Abigail at William-Raymond.com. Jeff, that the best place to go? Anywhere else where people can get involved with this?
Well, I think that's exactly, you hit it right heads on. Either go to that link. Of course, I'm gonna keep posting it on my Instagram. Awesome. Or on my also have my foundation page. You give them a reason as well. I kind of started that last year, so I'm still trying to grow that. So I make sure I keep posting that, and of course you can reach out to Abigail at the email. And like I said, man, I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to a great first fundraiser.
I love it. Well, Jeff, we got a couple football questions for you here too as well, because we are not far away from week 1 now. Rand Carthon quoted you on the final preseason broadcast saying that y'all had a conversation where you were complimentary of how far this offensive line has come through training camp. But what have you seen from those guys, Jeff, as you guys take this last weekend to rest, and where do you think they have improved as you guys get ready for the season?
Man, a lot of people don't understand it, man, but, guys who played in the trenches understand this. A lot of people see all of the fights early in camp, but, that to me, that would make a team. When we first started training camp, guys know, I'm going to come with my best A game. I'm going to talk my smack. And, we first started camp, I'm like, this offensive line is different. They are ready to show that they belong in this league. And a guy who I think he one of the best guards in the league. He's strong as heck. Sometimes I'll be trying to bull rush him, and it's just this man, he really strong. So, and that's Peter, man. I honestly believe, and I don't I mean, I don't really like offensive linemen like that, but my teammates, I'm going to give them their props. But, a guy like Peter, man, like I feel like, I don't know if it's because, of course, like we always talk about it, it's Nashville, it's a title, it's a little market, but I think people really need to watch Peter this year. And not just Peter, our whole offensive line, but like I said, I've just been watching Peter since he came in as a rookie and seeing his growth, man. Like, it's tremendous. Like, I love his game. And, now it's just like he's got that confidence. He even talked a little smack to me this camp, and I wasn't expecting it. And that's just I feel like, where I came in as a leader and as a defensive lineman on his team to help him get that out of him, because it's just like when you press this guy like Peter, it's like he got it, but it's something that he's not letting go. And when I tell you this camp, I just saw a different side of Peter, and even guys like that I really went against, like Dylan Radins. I thought Dylan was a great guy for one, but then when it comes to the football field, he's grimy, he's gritty, and he have got so much better. It's crazy because you be like, man, I'm finna beat him on this rush or whatever. Maybe I got this rush in my head, and they'll shut it down. And that just, that shows growth for our offensive line and being able to, we got one of the best offensive line, one of the best. I think he's the best offensive line coach in the NFL. So when you get guys like, that we have already on the offensive line, and guys like Kush coming in, and now we got Dylan back. Nick back. And then, of course, you got JC Big Tail over there, left tackle. So, I think that offensive line they got put together perfectly. If we can stay healthy, man, I think it's going to be a long year for us. And, I just feel like our offense has got so much better, man. And, it's been fun to go against them during camp, and I can't wait to see them next Sunday, and, just to put it all on show for real.
Man, I'm glad you keep the same energy we feel about y'all too, Jeff. We don't like y'all D-linemen like that, man, but we appreciate y'all, though. You feel me?
It's all good. We just trying to get each other better.
You better believe it.
I got to tell them, man, like, after every time, it could be a hard practice where somebody gets to pushing, or just like after that first day of pass, like, we going to compete. That's what it's about. We might fight. We're going to talk smack. But at the end of the day, we're a team, and we got it's one goal, and that's to win the Super Bowl at the end. So, like I said, that's one thing. That's why I love the trenches, man. We compete harder than anybody on the field.
No doubt. Also, this year too, man. On the other side of the ball, Jeff, I think when you recognize people have good players on the way to greatness, all pros and Pro Bowls like yourself, and Amani's in that conversation. You guys lost a few guys this past year. On this side of it, and on the fan side, you don't want to see talent wasted. You know what I'm saying? You see a really good player on the team, you say, man, that guy needs some help. Well, Jeff, you got some help this offseason, man. Tavondre coming in. Ernest Jones just got that pick. And, of course, Kenneth Murray, et cetera. We can continue to go down this line. If I'm not mistaken, 7 of the 11 starters on your side of the ball is new. And they're not just new, Jeff. You know these guys around the league, and they've made plays in other cities. How excited are you for this defense, Jeff? Without giving away too much, man, like, where are you at mentally with your side of the ball?
I'm ready to play some football. What am I tell you that? It's exciting, man. When you at practice, and even in preseason game, you see flashes of like guys like Sweat. When I started, because he in my room, and I'm not just talking to him. Like, first of all, bro, if you get all that weight going forward, nobody can stop you. The second thing we have to do is just, of course, get your motor going a little faster sometimes. When, one thing we talk about with him, just feel, when I say motor, not saying he out of shape or nothing like that. What I'm saying is, when guys, and with offensive linemen, first thing they're going to do when they feel Sweat, they're going to anchor.
Yep.
They feel that big 300-something. Well, I'm not going to put it weight out there.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it. They took 300 plus. Yeah. Yeah,
300 plus. When they feel all that coming forward, that's no way they finna just let him bull. So they trying their best to anchor. And I always tell him, you have to get a timer in your head, because I said, I don't want you to get pressures. I don't want you to get just hits on quarterback. I want you to get sacks. And that's one of the things that I constantly talk to him about. Like, get a clock in your head. When you're on your bullet rush, just get a clock, and it should be 2 seconds or one with you because you're so big. But when you bull rushing guys, just being able to get that motor going in your head that, all right, I know I'm finna knock him back. Nah, get off and go make a play. So, man, it's been fun to watch his growth. A guy who want to be good, and honestly, man, he loves to learn. Like, he always asking questions, and that's the thing you can appreciate. I could call myself the vet in the room now. I'm not the youngest guy no more, and I've been here the longest. So it's like it's fun to be able to, give out things that I got like from guys like Jarrell Casey. So it's been fun to watch him grow as a player. And then, like you said, we can go on and on with our new additions, like guys like Kendall Miller, man. Like that's probably one of the guys who I'm most excited to play with this year. I knew of him, guy, first rounder when he got in, he was a dog when, up there in LA, and, he's a guy that, he demand greatness, I would say. They, like everyone know, like Denard said, he got the green dot, but he had the green light, and that's just him, being able to play fast, come downhill, and be aggressive, and, just to hear him sometimes talk, that's getting me so motivated to, hear things like that from a guy who just got here, who sounds like he's been here. And that just shows you the respect he has just by being voted captain this year with us. So, like I said, I'm just excited to play with him. So, and then, of course, our back end. You saw what I tweeted when we got like guys like Snead and, we got the back end with Diggs, Jamal, we Cheeto, I feel like we put this random did a hell of a job, just by getting guys in here because, I mean, as you know, you need players to win in this league, and the guys who we brought in is some real players. You've been hearing them all in the NFL before they even got to Tennessee. So, like I said, man, I'm so excited just to get back to practice next week because I know it's game week and, I could finally be able to get on the field with them guys next Sunday. So I'm excited about it. Denard been doing a hell of a job of just getting his message across that the way he wants us to play as a whole defense, and he don't care who it is, me all the way down to guys who just got into the building. He gonna make sure and he want things done the way he want it done, the way he wants you to play his defense. So. Like I said, man, I'm so excited for next weekend. Of course, I'm gonna go down to Mississippi this weekend, but
okay.
I think my biggest, like, I'm so ready to just go play some football and being able to go to Chicago week one against a rookie quarterback is not a better opportunity for us, I would say.
I love it. Jeffery Simmons has been our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Again, individual sponsorships, tickets to his Give 'em a Reason event, Cocktails and Conversations coming up September 16th at Hall's Chop House here in Nashville. Sponsorships and tickets, Abigail at William-Raymond.com. Jeff, we're excited to partner with you on this, man. Really cool what you're doing in the community, and really appreciate the time this morning.
I appreciate you guys as well. Like I said, it means a lot. That you guys, being able to do this for me and help sponsor this event. I said, whatever you guys ever come across, especially if it's about the kids or any opportunity that you guys have or ideas in the community, let me know. And like I said, I'm all for it. So like I said, I appreciate it. And Ramon, I know y'all got a little layup game tomorrow or whenever y'all play. But
we both got our orange on today, Jeff. Don't worry.
See, Jeff,
I saw it when I got up this morning. I said, okay, they got the orange on.
See,
I made sure I put my Mississippi State shirt on before I went down this weekend.
Jeff,
but, nah, I'm messing with you, man.
No. This is what we do, Jeff. Don't get on the airwaves and act like we can't do this because I was gonna let you off the hook. You know what I was gonna say, Jeff? I was like, man, I wanted to know how you feel about your Bulldogs because we scheduled y'all for homecoming this year.
Nah, I don't think y'all would want to do that. I don't want to ruin it. So is it homecoming for real?
It is.
It is.
See, Ramon, I liked you. Now I don't even know what to say no more. That's so disrespectful.
No,
That's
I see some sort of charitable wager in our future as that game approaches.
I'm with
Jeff,
it.
is what I'm hearing.
that is so disrespectful. Homecoming. Now, look, I had to just pull it up. November 9th. And that's crazy. Homecoming.
Hey, Jeff, all I'm telling you is this, man. You started it. It's football season, and the SEC does just mean more. You know that.
Well, y'all probably been lost 5 straight by the time we get to y'all. So
right,
we'll see y'all for homecoming.
I love it. Jeffrey Simmons, our guest this
Enjoy
morning.
your off week, man.
Jeff, we really appreciate it, man. We'll talk soon.
Oh, definitely. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir. There's Jeffrey Simmons. Oh, my goodness.
I knew it was
love
coming. We couldn't get off this phone without something.
I know. I love that he's tuned in on Zone TV as the show starts. Jeffrey Simmons at the F&M Bank Chat. You should be there as well. We'll wrap up hour 3 coming up next.
Everywhere I go, I see Ford Broncos all over the road, and they're all different. Soft tops, hard tops, the Big Ben Heritage style with the white tops. They got the Black Diamond, the Raptor. I like that one for myself, y'all. Or the smaller Bronco Sports, too, man. There's so many options and color combinations, so many different packages and trim levels. That's why the Two Rivers Ford team invites you to get to know the Ford Bronco. This is an open invite. I went last week, and I drove one for an entire week, all right? And you don't have to even be in the market for a Bronco. The Two Rivers Ford team has a team of Bronco experts on hand to introduce you to the Ford Bronco, answer your questions, let you test drive, show you the on-road and off-road capabilities, the technology, and the accessories. And remember this, too. The Two Rivers Ford sales team, they don't work on commission. They're there to educate you, to answer your questions, and to introduce you to a really cool vehicle that you might not know a lot about. That's one of the reasons people love doing business with Two Rivers Ford and why they're the South's most trusted Ford dealer. So go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford. They're in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, and get to know the Ford Bronco. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Broncos headquarters.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will wrap it up. Our number 3, Ramon Foster, Will Bowling with you. Kayla's got the morning off, and Robert Walsh is our producer. Really good stuff with Jeffery Simmons. If you missed that conversation, check it out wherever you download podcasts. Just super cool, Ramon, to see him move into that captain and leadership role. And I know, he is an animal and a monster when he is on the field. But it is cool to see guys, especially a guy that has invested his long-term future to be here, now reinvesting in this community. And we're excited to be a part of this event coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, and I'm glad to see his mom was a lot like mine. She lived by that "I wish you would" creed, okay?
That's right.
Absolutely. That was dope conversation about Jeff, man.
They got a lot of confidence in this defense.
Quiet as kept almost, right?
He's got a lot of confidence in this defense. And if you missed Jeffery Simmons a few minutes ago, told us as well, he thinks Peter Skoronski is one of the best guards in the NFL this year. And I will tell you, Jeffery Simmons is not volunteering a whole lot of praise for offensive linemen. He told us that. He said, I don't even mess with offensive linemen like that. But I'm just telling you that I've talked trash to that guy, and he's giving it right back to me, and that guy is ready to be one of the best guards in the league. I don't think that that's Jeff just trying to be overly positive or just create something that doesn't exist. I genuinely believe that Jeffery Simmons believes every word of that when he says that.
Because, with teammates and stuff, when you see stuff in practice or you hear about guys like we saw him being this good in practice, that's why we've seen that. We just haven't heard that come out of this camp in a while, to where, like Brock Purdy, they knew Brock Purdy was making those types of passes in San Francisco, right? Or Tom Brady before he took over, like you knew he was doing these types of things. Heck, I saw with Antonio Brown and Martavis Brown's like, these dudes got it, and we saw it first in practice as teammates, so you're not shocked by what's going to happen. It just takes the rest of the United States and football fan to actually realize those things. And, of course, winning will also help put eyes on the interior guard the way his teammates respect it. So I'm just glad that we can drop the whole tackle conversation with Peter. I was so excited hearing Jeff say that because, again, what's good for you as a fan is not good for the team. And the fact that Peter Skoronski is at a point right now to where he's getting the respect of his teammates, a Jeffery Simmons, says a lot.
It really does. It really does. So interesting to see what that means for Peter. I mean, Steve Palazzolo sat right next to you a couple weeks ago and said he'd still put Skoronski at tackle.
That's because he's looking at the scenario, what it is, and not the entire build-up. I respect where Steve's coming from, but my NFL experience and eyes, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to choose mine over his in that one.
Well, I think Steve would be perfectly okay with you saying
he would
that.
be.
But I think, too, like, maybe you could make the argument that for the 2024 Titans, maybe that is their best 5. Is Peter Skoronski at left tackle and J.C. Latham at right tackle? Maybe right now, week 1, 2024. But I don't think for the long-term future, or maybe for week 10 of 2024, that would still be the case.
Right.
It might be a way to get you through the first few weeks, but you're thinking more, all right, our 5-year plan for this team, we look a lot better down the road with Peter Skoronski continuing to play guard and continuing that development on a linear path without starting a development at a different position and having to pause his development over here at guard.
And the other side, too, like I said, I did the sideline with Peter, and before we went on air, I asked him, how has this year been? He was like, man, last year was rough. It was like, I had to figure out how to play tackle. Like, they're on you quicker. They're stronger, I think, on the interior. And now that you got him settled in, you don't want to take it away from him.
Absolutely. Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show, getting you ready for the football weekend. We can get to your Titans calls at 615-737-1045. If you heard something from Jeffery Simmons you would like to react to. And Brent Hubbs was with us earlier this morning, and we asked him our question of the morning. What do you need to learn from Tennessee tomorrow in week 1 as they begin the season against Chattanooga? Jeffery Simmons might tune out of that conversation. You should tune into it, and it's next.
What's going on? Happy Friday. Good morning. 9:04 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Titans have been awarded a former Colts cornerback, Darrell Baker, off waivers. Baker becomes the third player the Titans have claimed off waivers over the last 2 days. Over the past 2 seasons, Baker has played in 17 games, including 6 starts last season for the Colts. Titans also add a new face to the practice squad, defensive tackle James Lynch, 4th-round pick of the Vikings out of Baylor in 2020, played 3 years in the NFL, 37 games and 3 starts under his belt, has accumulated 53 tackles, 2 sacks, and 4 tackles for a loss. Last night in college football in the SEC, Missouri roundhouse kicked Murray State 51-0, and Arkansas State said, we can leave a donut on the scoreboard, 70-0, Arkansas Pine Bluff. You also saw number 24, NC State, ended a brutal first half to come out on top over Western Carolina, 38-21. The Vols take on them in Charlotte next weekend, and Colorado takes its Week 1 victory despite some questionable play calling at the end of the game, 31-26. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show here already, hour number 20 of another jam-packed week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. The next time we talk to you, it will be a Titans game week. We are Will Levis days away tomorrow from Titans football. But today we are Jason Swain days away from football time in Tennessee. More college football discussion coming up. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045, and a great morning so far with Brent Hubbs in hour 2 and Jeffery Simmons just a half hour ago in hour number 3. Ramon Foster, it is Friday and we're acting like it.
Yeah, hey, absolutely, man. I thought we was going to have the tunes right there. Never mind. No, we're good. With that being said, great conversation about Jeff. Foundation sounds super awesome, man. Hubs also came on and dropped some dimes with her. So it's a Friday, Will. What a show. And it's just flown by, man. We're already in the 9.
Mm-hmm. If you missed either one of those conversations, you can check them out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts at. The Jeffery Simmons interview is being uploaded as we speak.
Nice.
As we speak.
Bert getting after it this morning.
One of those days, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of those where you hadn't got to sit down yet, but I like that hustle. It feels like we're in football season, like there is something to do. It's not just answering calls and, playing Wordle back here. Like, I got tangible work to get cut through.
When you said I like that hustle, it sounded like a coach that know he's had a real good week of practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the hustle of my guys.
That's
so
right.
Count it up. Whatever the spread is, bet it. Mm-hmm. Bet it right now.
Tonight, you should hustle to your radios. At 6:45, coverage of Week 2 of the 104.5 The Zone High School Football Game of the Week will begin with myself and Brad Hopkins from Brentwood Academy tonight as they host Brentwood High School. Brentwood became the second ever Williamson County public school to beat BA in BA's school history last season on a 21-18 win that had a blocked field goal as time expired over there on Granny White Pike. Brentwood Academy, of course, has Vols commit George McIntyre. They also have Georgia commit Trell Shivers at 365 pounds at nose tackle, at defensive end and at right tackle. Ramon, I was told he has run a 5.2 40.
Get the heck out of here.
At 360 plus, laser timed at a camp earlier this offseason. So,
what?
A lot of talent on the field. Essentially, the Tavondre Sweat of high school football. Trell Shivers, who plays for Brentwood Academy.
Goodness.
I know. Brentwood team that last season was undefeated in the regular season and then had their season end to the eventual state champions, Houston, out of Memphis. Went 13-1 last season. I love Coach Clint Finch and what they've got going on at that program. Some of the best people in Tennessee high school football. So that is tonight.
Man, that's what I be telling folks. Like, folks be like, hey, you should just block him. I was like, no, this Joker is actually a big athlete. Don't let the size fool you, or just because everybody's big, like, it's still a strain to actually be good and compete, man.
That's
Goodness.
right. That's right. So that will be tonight on the station. Last night, NC State trailed in the fourth quarter against Western Carolina. They ultimately get the job done against the Catamounts. Ramon Foster was yesterday years old when he learned that the Catamounts were a college football program. That's all right. We snap and clear. We move on.
Yeah, we are.
Colorado, though, Ramon Foster, needed a little bit of anxiety to get through its game against the Bison of North Dakota State. This one was interesting. I thought Shedeur Sanders was terrific. Over 450 yards in this game. And then Travis Hunter again, or 445 yards. Travis Hunter again looked like a Heisman contender, like he did this time last year. 31-26. What did you see from the Buffaloes last night?
A lot of speed. Like their O-line and D-line was late to the party. I think they ended up getting their first sack in the second half and their second one in the fourth quarter. Wasn't a whole lot as far as their bigs go. And earlier on, I thought, of course, Shedeur saw some pressure. But here's the thing about you mentioning him being that type of quarterback. Well, this joker took a couple to the face last night and still delivered. Was it J.C. Horn's kid that was
Jimmy
there?
Horn.
Jimmy Horn.
7 catches, 198, and a touchdown.
Talk about speed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where teams going to have problems with Colorado is Shedeur's not afraid to stay in the pocket. From what I saw, he number 53 from North Dakota State was on his butt. Like, I was thinking to myself, he better stop balling so hard because somebody's going to come calling for him in the transfer portal. Because seriously, he was having a night, man. And just watching Shedeur stay in the pocket and collect hits and still make passes down the field was super unique. And it's something I think he needed to show as far as his NFL career is going to go moving forward, because when you're that good, you usually don't go to a good team.
Mm-hmm.
But Jimmy Horn Jr., man, 198 yards for him. Travis Hunter, who's the Heisman favorite right now in the sense of, like, do you say Shedeur is better than him or ahead of him? Have we had that conversation?
No, I think it's Carson Beck, and then it's everyone else.
It will be, but this is going to be a strong conversation right here. And I'm sure awards will go, if they continue on, to Shedeur and to Travis Hunter, whether it be player of the year, not Heisman, offensive player. Like, something's going their way. Travis Hunter, I can ramble on him all day long. 2 touchdowns, some pass breakups and tackles over the course of the game. It's sick to think about.
So according to FanDuel, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are currently both tied for the 10th best odds to win the Heisman at plus 2,500.
Yeah. They're a great September story, but their team will not be good enough for them to be in the Heisman race.
Biggest issue, they weren't able to dominate the ground game last night.
Right.
They only had 59 yards on the ground.
Yeah, they still don't look like a team with a very capable offensive line yet.
And then I know we got to get out of here, but it's kind of confusing that they would go for that 4th down rush in their own territory and trusting their own rush that much when you knew if they knew, they've been practicing all offseason. You knew what the rush was going to look like.
We were doing the Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders Heisman thing last year, too.
Yeah.
It just ended quickly when they turned into a pumpkin in conference play. And now they're in a better conference.
Well, first game lived up to it.
Yeah. I don't know if they're in a better conference. A different kind of challenge.
I would say so.
The conference that they are in.
This was more stable.
The best of the best isn't going to be quite as difficult, but the bottom of the barrel also is better in the Big 12. You could maybe make that argument. I don't know. I think they are going to be interesting to watch. Who is your Heisman pick, though? If you're picking somebody.
If I'm picking somebody, I got to go to UGA. Carson Beck's the pick. He's the pick, but I don't know. If Colorado can stay up, it's going to be hard to keep Shedeur just because of the fanfare.
I don't think Colorado even has a finalist.
Straight up?
No.
Even if Travis Hunter, Shedeur do something crazy?
No.
We'll see.
You don't have Heisman finalists from 7 and 5 teams.
You know why I say they will? And I don't know if it's going to be on his own merit. It's because of the publicity that Colorado brings.
Sure, but I also think publicity works against you in some contexts where that also might hurt their cause of being Heisman favorites. You think of the people who are voting for the Heisman. There are a lot of folks who love to hate Colorado, especially as Colorado does this crusade against media.
Yeah.
Who votes for the Heisman? A heck of a lot of media.
And that's where you got to make a decision. Do I care about my own principles or do I play this game? And not your principles, but like Deion's standing on business as it stands right now. And to your point, some people in the media is going to take that the very worst way, and it's going to hurt Travis or hurt Shedeur as it pertains to these college accolades. NFL, I don't think they care.
I do think that I'm always very careful, and I choose my moments whenever I criticize broadcasters because that is a hard job. Lord knows I will never have a perfect broadcast. So I want to preface my next comment with that I don't want to be overly critical. I want to get as specific as I can with this. I thought ESPN's Mark Jones made a poor decision last night telling the story about Deion Sanders not answering questions from CBS and saying, yeah, Deion told us they felt like they had questioned his faith. All right, 1st and 10. Here we go. Up next. You cannot make an accusation like that is totally unfounded on national television and not give me not only a receipt, but a heck of a long one as well. I thought that was pretty irresponsible. And Mark Jones brings a lot of excitement. I think there's a lot to like, and a lot of people love the way he broadcasts. And again, I don't want to be overly critical because, again, that is a very difficult job, but I thought that was irresponsible by Mark in that moment.
They didn't have to.
No.
They didn't. Even if Deion wanted it cleared up by them, they didn't have to do that. It just brought more negativity, I thought.
The whole broadcast felt like a Colorado PR stunt, to be honest with you.
I'm going to be honest with you. I said that to my wife.
It felt like Colorado Hard Knocks.
Yeah. And again, screw it. Here it is. I thought these two dudes that called this game last night were Deion Sanders picks.
Yeah.
And
it felt that way.
The defense of him against the media also was unnecessary. I ain't gonna say it was unnecessary. He can call it however you want to. You do what you want when you pop it.
Sure.
Ain't no other way around it. But to bring light to that situation when it wasn't the same network or people that were doing it, I almost felt like ESPN was putting their foot on the neck of those dudes. And that, to me, when you got so much good going on in Boulder, Colorado that nobody had an eye on in the last 25 years, you didn't have to do that in that broadcast. Whether those dudes were appointed by Deion and say, hey, clear this up for me.
Right.
It's just that when, I guess, if they punch low on you, I guess you uppercut them. And in that moment, you didn't need to because Shedeur, Jimmy Horn Jr., and Travis Hunter had an amazing night to where you didn't have to give that air. It's a big game. You were the primetime game, 7 o'clock, where everybody's watching you and every celebrity was there. You didn't have to uppercut those dudes in that moment to where them dudes, I've never even heard of them.
I thought the integrity of making that statement was quite low. Just because Deion Sanders tells you something in a production meeting does not mean that you have to repeat it. That, I think, is the challenge in that moment is you want to create a good relationship with a coach because the next time you call their game, you want to be able to get info, especially the way Deion has drawn a line in the sand of you are either with me or you are against me and you're getting no access. I understand. I empathize a bit with broadcasters who speak with Deion because I imagine you are walking on pins and needles every conversation you have with him. And part of me even it's just a weird situation. And I look forward to the day the Deion circus is over and in the NFL.
As far as him being an NFL coach, you mean? In
any capacity. I just feel like this experience in Colorado is going to crash and burn. My brother texted me last night and said, gosh, those Sanders kids, the Sanders kid really needs to grow up on the sideline. And the coach talking, I'm paraphrasing. I should have read my brother's comment. I'm totally butchering this, but he's basically like, yeah, that Sanders kid's really acted up on the sideline. Shedeur's doing well, though.
Shiloh, yeah.
No, he was talking about Deion. Deion is a child.
Well, it was a lot. A lot has to come into the conversation when it's Prime. Like Prime is a brand. Yeah. Everybody's known him. But again, as I've said before, he can move a certain type of way that others can't. Because they're not him. Right. He's empowering a lot of guys that think they can act and be like him, and it just doesn't hit the same.
The text was, that Sanders kid really needs to mature, especially since he has 2 sons on the team.
Shiloh was pushing it last night, too. He finally got called for a unnecessary roughness also.
You know who else was pushing it? Travis Hunter every time the ball was thrown to him.
Yeah. Do what you want when you pop it.
He's either going to get away with a lot in those situations or he's going to get a ref that wants to show him up and let him get away with nothing. And last night he got away with a lot.
And that's where it becomes...
He's a dang good player, though.
He's really good.
Coming up, let's preview the college football weekend. No Andy Staples coming up next. He is going to join us next week. Got some stuff going on So we're moving around that schedule just a little bit. So we will catch up with him to recap the weekend, and no problem at all, from our good friend Andy Staples. We're going to preview what's coming up and tell you what Brent Hubbs had to say about Nico Iamaleava that we like, coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. Just letting you know this, man. If you didn't know, you should, because they've been here since 1994. They are a foundation repair and waterproofing company, man. They have more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers, and right now it's hot and dry outside, y'all. So you might want to check around your crib and see if there's any soil cracking or pulling away from your home, or if it's leaving holes or gaps next to the foundation, or your bricks cracking, walls bowing, doors or windows sticking. These are all signs of possible foundation issues. Your house may be trying to tell you something, and so is United, because right now you can get 10% off of any job over $2,500. They also have cash, same as cash options, where it's no payment, no interest for a whole year. Free inspections on your home. Again, I told you, their services include foundation repair, basement waterproofing. They have mold treatment, because again, your house can get a little steamy. You might want to check those attics or basements, wherever it may be, or around your house, your sidewalks. Concrete leveling is huge. Somebody trip on your lawn, man, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. All right, so get all this fixed, man. We guarantee our best. Call USS. Y'all know the slogan, man, but their number is 615-488-7855, or you can go online at USSTN.com.
Prince's Hot Chicken, the original hot chicken. They know a thing or two about hot, so they're bringing you the hottest moments from RKW throughout the week in a segment I like to call Prince's Hot Mic.
He's like that mouse up in the New Orleans press box. He's a cockroach.
Mouse and a cockroach in the same sentence, Kayla. That's why I can't wait to.
He's just that gum on your shoe. It's just those dog crap.
How much lower can we get?
I know, it's like ants at a picnic. Like, dang.
How many more? Come on. Hot Mike's Hot Chicken. Prince's knows hot. Prince's Hot Chicken, the original hot chicken.
I love living in Middle Tennessee. We've got great restaurants, entertainment, sports, and one of the nation's top Ford dealers right here in our backyard. Two Rivers Ford. Remember that name. Two Rivers has been a staple in our community since 1983. They're locally owned. They have a non-commissioned sales team, and they sell below MSRP. They've been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues on 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling with you. Kayla's got the morning off. And we will be live, by the way, Monday. Labor Day. We're working.
We are. I'm glad to be working on Monday, too.
Yes, sir.
We
Absolutely.
come in, knock out our 4 hours, get this day started right, Will.
Absolutely. We're happy to be talking football again.
Yes, we are. We'll have a whole weekend of it, too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Actually get through. You sound like somebody, uncle or mama right there. Mm-hmm. I can appreciate that.
Brent Hubbs earlier this morning talking about Nico Iamaleava had this to say about the expectations for Tennessee's QB1.
Everybody's been talking about this guy since, he signed with Tennessee and he was On3's number one player in the country. And all of those things create probably some unrealistic expectations, but certainly a ton of excitement and anticipation for what he might look like. I think this is an interesting balance for Josh Heupel, too, because everybody's like, okay, you get in and out, and, you keep everybody healthy, and you get guys to the sidelines as fast as you can. Nico's played 4 quarters of football. I mean, he's got 1 start under his belt. He played some mop-up duty last year, but he was he needs as many reps as he can get. But the backup quarterback, Gaston Moore, has never played a meaningful snap either. I mean, he was the third-team backup guy a year ago. So how do you manage the workload? What all are you trying to accomplish? I think for Nico, it's not about stats. I don't think it's anything about what your numbers look like. I think it's about your efficiency. How do you manage the game? What does your decision-making look like? What is your timing like? What's your feel? How do you make side adjustments? Get a team out of a bad play into a good play when you're playing in tempo? And then what's your efficiency in the red zone? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This team has to be a better red zone team if they're going to have any hope of living up to the expectations they have for themselves and the fans have for them. And he has to be a big reason why they're different in the red zone this year. And I'm curious to see what that looks like on Saturday.
There's Brent Hubbs earlier this morning. What do you want to see tomorrow, Ramon, from Nico Iamaleava?
I think that last point that Hubbs brought up initially was exactly what you were saying. Like the efficiency of seeing him operate well is one thing, but we start talking about scenarios. He's right. Getting to the red zone, which I don't think would be a hard thing for this team considering the offensive style, how they run the ball on the ground, how they got playmakers on the edge, and they spread everybody out. Like this offense is built for success in a lot of different ways. The scenarios in which they succeed is where I'm at, and what Hub said there last, man, is can Nico drive them into the end zone in the red zone? Can he be on the 18-yard line and dot a wide receiver that's going into the end zone, into the right corner of the front pylon? Like, what is that going to look like for Nico and his operation? Like, taking care of the ball and running? Yeah. Give me specific scenarios. It is red zone efficiency. It is, how does Coach Hyper call it in those moments too? Because what you don't want this to be is one of those ongoing conversations throughout the course of the year is, oh, you got everything you need. So it's either your play calling, because a lot of people believe in what Nico's offering right now, right, as it pertains to his quarterback play and the expectation of his, but it also boils down to the execution of those moments. Like, we can speak all we want to on how great the arm is, and hey, I love a great deep pass, but if we're throwing a 50-yard bomb and we get down to the 10-yard line and can't get 7, that's where I want to see it be good. Yeah. It's 20 yards and in, Will. Can we drive the ball into the end zone?
I think that's the question, right? Brent Hubbs talked about that on our show, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, that red zone offense might end up being the stat that defines Tennessee's season because they were not good enough in the red zone last year. That, to me, I'm curious tomorrow how much we see Nico Iamaleava with his legs be able to have the freedom to improvise, because I don't think we see a full complement of what he's going to do against Chattanooga. I think there's a lot they're going to save for NC State. I think there's a lot they're going to save for later on in the season. And Brent Hubbs also said that I think there are about 4 or 5 games that they're really going to let him run. But the rest of them, I think he might just be a regular pocket passer tomorrow. And we're sitting here Monday saying, all right, well, Nico looked fine. Nothing crazy, nothing bad. Just Nico looked fine. And that would be perfectly okay with me.
Yeah. The setup of it, though, is I'd really love to see him throw for about 300-plus yards. I'll be honest with you. That would really settle me from a VFL standpoint as somebody that's got to watch him Saturday and each Saturday. But here's the other side of it, too. Coach Heupel and his staff makes it a point to run the ball, though, too. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me if this game we're asking questions, well, how good is Nico's arm or what is his execution like? Because it wouldn't shock me if they had 275 yards on the ground rushing. You see what I'm saying? Like, which one do you want? You want Nico with 150 and 275 rushing, or do you want Nico with essentially 375 and 125 on the ground? Because in the SEC, you have to be able to run the ball. And I think that's why Josh Heupel and his staff drive home the emphasis on running the football and having this variation of running backs in the backfield, and also preaching time and time again the bigs that they always need. So I think we have more rushing yards than actual passing yards this upcoming weekend, because you can. And to add to that also, it should, because if that D-line is as good as we think they are, you're able to get the ball back, and if this O-line is much improved and you got 2 guys that are potential draft picks and Spraggins come back and you got Cooper in the fold, then they better be bullying folks. So I'm not opposed to having a conversation that the O-line looked good, or, hey, they just dominated a ground and pound type of ball game against the Chattanooga Mocs. So it's a lot to see and a lot of questions that, honestly, at this point, I ain't got a clue on where we're going to go with this thing coming in after, the game should be done by 5 o'clock Saturday. 12? Yeah, by 5 o'clock. There's a lot of stuff that we have to know. Yeah, Eastern.
Is Tennessee a playoff team?
On paper, yeah. On paper, yes. They check every single box. For teams that are as solid as most, all of them got questions on how they're going to protect their quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. All of them has questions on, even Quinn Ewers, what is he going to be? Whoever is Ohio State quarterback still have questions, right? Every single one of them have questions. Michigan should probably be in that conversation lightly. All of them have the same amount of questions. If you think you have the good enough coaches to be developed to develop these guys over the course of the season, yeah. But it comes down to strength of schedule, I think, some, and wins and losses of where. They got to get past the Bama juggernaut, the Georgia juggernaut. If you just lose to only one of them, definitely a playoff team. I don't know if you lose two, Will. And you can't lose to a lesser opponent this year. Not even close.
Sure. I think if Nico Iamaleava starts and finishes the season healthy, Tennessee is in the college football playoff. I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee behind this offensive line and the hits he'll take and the running ability that he's going to have outside the pocket. I certainly don't want to speak that into existence, but I do think that is the big question I have, Ramon, for this team. More so than the secondary, more so than the defense. It's, can Nico stay healthy? And if not, who's behind him? Because right now you have a former walk-on, Gaston Moore, who's your backup quarterback. And I'm not trying to, borrow trouble and maybe stress about something that, again, this is still QB2. It's still not the end-all, be-all. However, Georgia and Alabama and Ole Miss and the teams that Tennessee is battling with have 4 and 5 stars who have been in the program as their backup quarterbacks. And with no disrespect to Gaston Moore, that is where Tennessee is not at that level yet. I mean, we talk all the time about how Cardale Jones won Ohio State a national championship. He was their third-string quarterback. Tennessee doesn't have much of a margin for error at QB. Nico is not a massive, big, and strong guy. So I think that is why you'll only see him run and get out of the pocket and be in quote-unquote harm's way maybe for 4 or 5 games this year. I mean, I think you'll maybe see that against NC State, but you're talking NC State, Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. Those are your 5 games where Nico Iamaleava, to me, is running the full complement of the offense. And other than that, I think there is a lot of management that's going to have to be done to make sure you get him to the end of the season.
Other part of that, too, about, keeping him healthy is this. If there's going to be games where teams hit him just to prove a point the same way we do. I want to see his bigs show up to the party in those moments, too, either through their play or give me a little bit of a 10-yard penalty, Will. Because, again, when you have these highly touted guys that are expected to do a lot and teams play you that are lesser teams or teams that are just simply your rivals, to me, when you become big dog and you walking with them, your bigs show it. And that, to me, is where I want to see this group grow a whole lot more, considering they're veteran dudes, because he's going to be tried. And if I was a defender from Chat this weekend, because I thought Austin Peay last year was very edgy.
Yeah, the way they went about it was impressive. And there's always a chance that could happen again tomorrow, where Tennessee comes out flat and doesn't look like the high-octane offense that they were for a lot of the rest of the season against a scrappy underdog team with nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I love a good methodical operating type of game and team where everybody's, we'll go back to the huddle. But at some point, your level of being an agitator has to match theirs in these moments, too, without going too far.
And I hope Tennessee gets that from Chattanooga.
I do, too.
Because last year, I think that exposed some weaknesses in Tennessee that they corrected in some games and didn't in others. Austin Peay was blitzing 7 and 8 consistently and getting home. And Joe Milton was not composed enough in the pocket to stand there under pressure and make an accurate throw over the middle, because his accuracy outside the numbers was significantly better than his accuracy over the middle. That's where I think Nico is better than Joe Milton the second he takes his first snap. The accuracy over the middle of the field needs to be at a higher pace for Tennessee this year. But Chattanooga is also going to run the tempo offense Tennessee runs. And that's a bold strategy, Cotton, against a SEC defense.
Because they ain't got the depth.
Because if that starts to get 3 and out, turnover, 3 and out, punt, then Tennessee's offense is going to feel that much better. I think whatever the first half spread is for Tennessee, I would take it. Because Tennessee may end up taking the foot off the gas in the second half, but the way Chattanooga plays on offense, I think Tennessee might have a lot of possessions in this first half. Well, let's go quickly to Cousin Danny in the Borough on the phone lines with us this morning. What's up, Danny?
What up, Danny?
Morning, fam. Loving the show today. Been able to catch the whole thing. On the Vols tomorrow, there's really only 2 things I want to see. And I'm not going to call this a practice game or anything like that, but I think that Tennessee can can do themselves a big favor by doing these two things. First and foremost, I don't want to see Nico leave his feet. My man has a clean jersey when he comes out onto the field and when he leaves it, period.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I'd like to see as close to a 50-50 split between run and pass as possible. I want to see real-time game reps against another college defense for both aspects of the offense, and I want him to grind it out. Like Ramon was just saying, I want to see methodical stuff. I don't want to just see 80-yard bombs. I want to see the playbook open, wide open. I want to see him trying a little bit of everything and balancing it out and getting multiple levels of players from first, second to third string guys getting all the reps they need, because I don't think NC State's a joke. That's going to be a real game for us next week. Not that tomorrow's not, but difference there. Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah.
That's what I got. Go Vols.
Go Vols.
I like it. Danny in the Borough. There he is.
Solid.
We're already at the end of the program, Ramon Foster, the finish line of the football offseason.
Wow.
Final thoughts when we come back on 104.5 The Zone. Wrapping up the show and wrapping up the week as we head into the first college football weekend here on 104.5 The Zone. Our picks for the weekend, again, Ramon's 1-1. A win on the Wake, North Carolina A&T over. A loss on Colorado minus 9.5 against North Dakota State. You've got Vandy plus 13.5 against Vatech.
I got that.
Kayla's got Miami covering the 2.5 at Florida. The 3.5 for Northwestern against Miami of Ohio. And Troy minus 9.5.
Y'all made no picks last night, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. That was the only one.
Bird's got New Mexico State covering at Arizona. JMU against Charlotte, getting the minus 8.5. And Norfolk State plus 33.5. I've got Texas, the LSU USC over, and the Miami and Florida under. So there you go.
Okay. I'm excited for it. I'll be here for it. I'll be listening to radio on the way to the Vols game, just trying to keep up with scores, et cetera, et cetera. I was happy to tweet and actually mean it last night. We're so back.
We are back.
We're so back.
Well, anytime you talk about Colorado, you get the people going. I will say from our conversation at hour 4, I probably could have chosen my words more carefully about calling him a child. I will say he has had some childish actions towards media. Those are my words and no one else's. So I'll clean that up there before you remote and say, yeah. And I think we talked a little bit about how he carried himself last night. The point I was trying to make was not that he was childish on the sidelines last night. It's more so, I think the idea of bringing up that somebody has accused you of not having a genuine faith when those comments are nowhere to be corroborated, that to me is where we get into an area I don't like. Because I think that he's made up some comments that have there's no evidence of those comments being made. That's a pretty big accusation. So that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, I'll end it by saying this. We've had too good of a show to have this conversation. The thing about Prime is this. Prime is very polarizing in all things that he's ever done. And that's my thing as far as Deion Sanders go, man. Like, I'm still a fan. I'm rooting for him to see how Colorado emerges in this new division. He's got a quarterback, and we will say most times, if you got a quarterback, you got a strong chance to do something good. But it's always when you speak about Deion, you get either hot or you get cold. And we can't have productive conversations about Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffs, who I, in my entire football career, have never spoken about Colorado football. And it's a lot of good that comes out of it, but it is a lot of BS that comes with it, too. And the portions of people calling out the BS should be okay, because here's the thing about it. They won. They are one of the hottest tickets to anybody in this world that wants to go to Boulder. I've never in my life seen so many black folks go to Boulder. I've never in my life seen so many fans in Boulder, Colorado Stadium, whatever the hell the name of our stadium is. It's good for everybody, but if it's good for everybody, there's always going to be the other side of the story to where you got to point out the bull crap. And that last night, to me, the commentators speaking about, I didn't think there was a need to give light to those reporters that had something negative to say about Coach Prime. And there's a lot of folks that have to say it. I'll even say this too. I think he has a lot of points to be made about how they treat him in his press conferences. And here's what I'll also say, because I took the time to go listen to a couple of his press conferences. It is cringe as heck. Like, it's a lot of praising and saying, hey, you were this and that. In the moment that you say something that is somewhat opposite of what they got going on, is overly critical. And all coaches, black, white, brown, Hispanic, it don't matter. Yeah. Get critical questions and are criticized heavily. There's a coach that I play for that get constantly called Fat Phil. I played for a black coach in Pittsburgh that wasn't black enough. So this happens to everybody. It's just that we all are in this era now where most of us grew up loving Deion Sanders. And it's okay to talk about our heroes if it's not above board sometimes. That's my biggest gripe about it is it's got to be okay to call a spade and a heart sometimes. It's just that simple.
Where I made the mistake was saying someone was a child. What I should have said was he was acting childish in the way he acted towards the media. So I apologize for that. I probably went a little too strong there. But we say a lot of things. No, it's my fault. It's my fault. I shouldn't have gone in that hard, but unfortunately, we say a lot of things into the microphone. Not all of them are correct. Most of the things are not correct sometimes. But I never want to go too hard on somebody personally. It's certainly not my intention. The better choice of words would have been some childish actions versus a child. Because I don't think Deion Sanders is a child as much. I think he's a very smart guy who has handled some media interactions poorly this offseason. So again, there you go. I messed up. All it is. All good. Is what it is. I'll probably do it again. I'll probably put on a clown nose next time I do.
We'll forget about it by Monday, Will. We're all good.
All right. Well, that is the show, and that is the week. The Buck Rising Show has you covered for the football weekend coming up next. And there's a lot to get into.
Yeah.
There is a Tennessee game. There is a bye week going into the Titans season. There is a ton to discuss. And the Zone's got you covered all day. So keep it right here. I imagine Ron Slay will be primed and ready to go at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And that's all he knows to talk about some Tennessee football.
And no doubt about it. Y'all know how we end on Fridays, man, especially this weekend. Buy somebody a random drink, all right? Have a random conversation. Say go Vols to somebody. And just at all times, man, make it back to us on Monday. But you must remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot. As Ron Slay give you the handshake right there, Will.